Chapter 3158. Greetings, Vice Leader, Elders. Zhao Xiaojin bowed to them one by one. You are Zhao Xiaojin? One of the elders asked. Yes, I am. Zhao Xiaojin nodded respectfully. That elder said, I heard that you have comprehended the third profound of the law of light? Yes. Zhao Xiaojin waved her hand, and the holy light sword appeared. It really is the third profound. Not bad, not bad. Other than the 10th elder, the other elders were full of praise. Zhao Xiaojin dispersed the holy light sword and silently retreated to the side. The white-robed old man glanced at the 10th elder, then looked at the vice leader and said, Old man Yi, you called all of us here, is there something important? Yes. The vice leader nodded and said, but don't worry, it won't take up much of your time. That's good. This old man is very busy managing such a large hall of the exalted. The white-robed old man chuckled. Busy? How do you have the face to say that? Who doesn't know that you hide in the mountains all day long? The vice leader rolled his eyes. Ahem. The white-robed old man coughed dryly, looking rather embarrassed. The vice leader glanced at the 10 elders and said, All right, back to the topic. This time, I called everyone here because I have something to investigate, Zhao Xiaojin. Zhao Xiaojin was stunned. Why did he call her name the moment she arrived? She quickly stepped forward and said respectfully, This disciple is here. The vice leader said, Let me ask you, when you went back to bury your parents' bodies, did something happen? This, Zhao Xiaojin couldn't help but glance at the 10th elder. At the same time, the 10th elder also looked at her with a hint of threat in his eyes. Don't be afraid. With me and your Hall of the Exalted's Hall Master here, no one dares to do anything to you. The vice leader said. Zhao Xiaojin took a deep breath, looked at the vice leader, and nodded. This time, I did encounter a lot of things when I went back. I even almost lost my life with Mou. Tell me the details. The vice leader said. At that moment, Zhao Xiaojin told him everything that had happened. Don't slander me. I don't know about this. The 10th elder immediately shouted. Elder, this disciple respects you very much because you are a big shot in our rogue cultivator alliance. But, I didn't expect that you would not even dare to accept it. Zhao Xiaojin's eyes were filled with disdain. Preposterous. Is this how you speak to an elder? The 10th elder was furious. Shut up. The Vice Alliance Master glared at him fiercely. The 10th elder's neck shrank back, and there was a clear trace of fear on his face. The Vice Alliance Master glanced at Zhao Xiaojin, and then he gazed at the white-robed old man and the other 9 elders. I believe all of you have heard of this as well. This old man really doesn't know. It's quite novel. The white-robed old man said with a smile. It's not surprising that you don't know. The Vice Alliance leader said faintly before looking at the other 9 elders. The white-robed old man smiled awkwardly and did not say anything else. The 9 elders looked at each other and nodded. We have indeed heard of it, but it is only a rumor. We still need to verify it. That's right. We do need to verify it. I'd like to see who's behind all this and tarnish the reputation of our rogue cultivator alliance. The Vice Alliance Master bellowed. The 10th elder's pupils shrank, and he became more and more flustered. Duh. Accompanied by a series of footsteps. Xing Sen walked in from outside, looked at the Vice Alliance Master above, and said respectfully, Sir, I've brought them here. Let them in. The Vice Alliance Master said. Who is it? Everyone could not help but turn to look outside suspiciously. Come in. Xing Sen shouted loudly. Immediately, 3 middle-aged men ran in. Looking at the 3 of them, the 10th elder's expression changed drastically. Zhao Xiaojin's eyes were filled with hatred. Because these three people were Wu Sanyuan, Zhao Yunhai, and Zhao Yuntian. Greetings, Vice Alliance Master. Greetings, Elders. As soon as the three of them entered the main hall, they immediately knelt on the ground in fear. Do you know why I've called you here? The Vice Alliance Master said in a deep voice. Yes, no, we don't know. The three of them shook their heads. Do you know or not? The Vice Alliance Master shouted. Yes, the three of them nodded repeatedly. Then tell me, who ordered you to do all this? The Vice Alliance Master said. If you dare to say a word, I'll kill you. The 10th Elder transmitted his voice. The three of them trembled and their faces turned pale. On one side was the Vice Alliance Master, and on the other side was the 10th Elder. No matter what, it was a dead end. The Vice Alliance Master glanced at the 10th Elder and said, Don't worry and speak boldly. As long as you speak the truth, I can consider giving you a lighter sentence. But if you dare to lie to me, then you can wait for your clan to be exterminated. Exterminated. The three of them quivered and said, We'll say, this was all ordered by the 10th Elder. You're courting death. The 10th Elder's killing intent rose as he slapped at the three of them. Annoying. The Vice Alliance Master slammed the crutch in his hand on the ground, and a terrifying aura immediately rushed toward the 10th Elder. The 10th Elder let out a miserable groan and immediately spat out a mouthful of blood. He retreated continuously, and his face turned pale. The Vice Alliance Master looked at him gloomily and said, Let me tell you, if you dare to make a move again, I'll directly cripple you. The 10th Elder stared at the Vice Alliance Master with a terrified expression. The Vice Alliance Master snorted coldly, looked at Wu Sanyuan and the other two, and said, Continue, I want to know everything. Yes. The three of them nodded and hurriedly told him the truth. Old 10, are you stupid? How could you do such a thing? The cause of this matter was your grandson's fault. You should take the initiative to apologize to Zhao Xiaojin, but you actually wanted to harm her. How can you be an elder of our Rogue Cultivator Alliance like this? Do you know how the world will talk about our Rogue Cultivator Alliance behind our backs if this matter were to spread? The 9 great elders immediately looked at the 10th Elder angrily. This matter has already been spread out. Now, our Rogue Cultivator Alliance has become a malignant tumor of the Eastern continent. Everyone has the right to kill us. Even those who were originally loyal to our Rogue Cultivator Alliance have already sided with the Demon Palace. Our Rogue Cultivator Alliance will be destroyed in the hands of someone like him sooner or later. The Vice Alliance Master roared. I'm at fault. But aren't you wrong? Who was the first to attack Qin Feiyang and the others back then? Let's just say that Yi Yuan bullied men and women in Wind Sea City and committed all sorts of crimes. Isn't this ruining the reputation of our Rogue Cultivator Alliance? The 10th Elder looked at the Vice Alliance Master unconvinced. Yes. It was indeed me who attacked Qin Feiyang first. Yi Yuan was indeed in the wrong. But did I pursue the matter? You all saw it too. Not only did I not pursue the matter, but I've been looking for opportunities to reconcile with Qin Feiyang and the others. Originally, they were about to reconcile with us, but because of your selfishness and misdeeds, all of our efforts were in vain. Do you know that Qin Feiyang and Madman Mo are of use to our Rogue Cultivator Alliance? As long as they are willing to join our Rogue Cultivator Alliance, then our Rogue Cultivator Alliance will truly have the capital to contend against the Demon Palace. You're simply incapable of accomplishing anything but good at ruining things. The Vice Alliance Master was furious. That's right. Qin Feiyang and the others have a sovereign divine weapon. To our Rogue Cultivator Alliance, they are the saviors sent by the heavens. The other great elders nodded one after another. The 10th Elder lowered his head, his eyes filled with anger and unwillingness. The Vice Alliance Master gazed at the white-robed old man and said, old friend, how do you think we should deal with this matter? Just that. The white-robed old man glanced at Zhao Xiaojin, and then he glanced at the 10th elder before he spoke indifferently. I think that little girl, Xiaojin, is very pitiful. On the other hand, Zhao Eryong was extremely loyal and conscientious to our rogue cultivator alliance. He truly died an unjust death. I understand what you're saying. The Vice Alliance Master nodded, and then he gazed at the 9 great elders and said, I believe all of you understand as well. Our rogue cultivator alliance's reputation absolutely can't fall like this. Otherwise, our rogue cultivator alliance will be destroyed sooner or later. The 9 great elders nodded in succession. So, we have to give the world a satisfactory explanation for this matter. I officially announce that the 10th elder is relieved of his position as an elder, and Wu Sanyuan is relieved of his position as the city governor of Ocean of Cloud City. Moreover, head to the city immediately and kneel on the square at the center of the city to apologize and repent," said the Vice Alliance Master. "What?" The 10th elder's expression changed, and he roared at the Vice Alliance Master, "You don't have the authority. Only the Lord Alliance Master has the right to relieve me of my position as an elder. All right then, we'll ask the Alliance Master to make a decision. But you have to think this through. Based on the Alliance Master's character, if he finds out about this, it won't be as simple as relieving you of your position as an elder. Because the Rogue Cultivator Alliance was established by the Alliance Master single-handedly. It's his life's work. He will absolutely not tolerate anyone tarnishing the reputation of the Rogue Cultivator Alliance like this." The Vice Alliance Master sneered. The 10th elder's face instantly turned ghastly pale. The Vice Alliance Master looked at the other 9 great elders and said, "If any of you have any objections, you can voice them out." "No." The 9 great elders shook their heads. "All right. Carry it out immediately." "Xing San." The Vice Alliance Master shouted. "Yes, sir." Xing San stepped forward. "Take them to Ocean of Cloud City. If any of them dares to cause trouble, kill them without mercy." With that, the Vice Alliance Master tossed the snake-shaped walking stick in his hand to Xing San. Xing San grabbed the walking stick and was instantly filled with confidence. He nodded and said, "Yes, sir." As soon as he finished speaking, he looked at the 10th elder, Wu Sanyuan, and the other 2 and said, "Please." How would Wu Sanyuan and Zhao Yunhai dare to say anything? They hurriedly got up and walked outside. But the 10th elder's face was filled with rage. He glared at the Vice Alliance Master and roared, "You can't treat me like this. How troublesome." The white-robed old man shook his head. With a wave of his hand, the power of law surged. The time in the main hall instantly stopped. Then, he took a step forward and instantly landed in front of the 10th elder, directly shattering the 10th elder's sea of qi. This was the profound meaning of the law of time, time stop. After the sea of qi was shattered, the white-robed old man waved his hand again. The time in the main hall returned to normal. The 10th elder immediately let out a scream. "Take him away." The white-robed old man waved his hand indifferently. "Yes." Xing San responded respectfully. He grabbed the 10th elder and left with Wu Sanyuan and the other 2. Chapter 3159. Phew. After Xing San left with the 4 of them, the Vice Alliance leader heaved a sigh of relief. It's finally settled. Let's hope we can salvage some of our reputation. One of the elders sighed deeply and asked, "Who's going to replace the 10th elder now?" "There's no rush. Let's put it aside for now." The Vice Alliance leader waved his hand and looked at Zhao Xiaojin. "I hope you won't be disappointed in our Rogue Cultivator Alliance because of this. Actually, someone like the 10th elder is just an exception." "I won't." Zhao Xiaojin shook his head. "That's good. Work hard. With your talent, you'll definitely achieve something in the future. If there's anything you don't understand, feel free to look for Yi Tian. You're a loyal descendant. I'll get him to take care of you. The Vice Alliance leader smiled. Thank you, Vice Alliance leader. Zhao Xiaojin bowed and thanked him. Cloud Sea City. With the arrival of the 10th Elder and the other 3, the entire city was in an uproar. So he's the 10th Elder. What a shabby face. Shifty eyes. One look and I can tell he's not a good person. Everyone gathered outside the square and cursed endlessly. The 10th Elder stood in the square, his eyes filled with rage. Kneel. Xing San looked at him expressionlessly. Wu Sanyuan and the other 2 had already knelt, but the 10th Elder did not kneel because of his status. Xing San, you're just a dog in front of the Vice Alliance leader. What are you being arrogant for? Don't you know that a starving camel is still bigger than a horse? The 10th Elder shouted. I really don't know about that. I only know that this is the Vice Alliance leader's order. I'll ask you one last time. Are you kneeling or not? Xing San asked. No. The 10th Elder roared. A cold glint flashed in Xing San's eyes. He took out his snake-shaped walking stick and smashed it on the 10th Elder's leg. Crack! Both of his legs broke immediately. The 10th Elder knelt on the ground powerlessly. You're courting death. He looked up and stared at Xing San with eyes filled with hatred. You're the one courting death. Don't forget what the Vice Alliance leader said before he left, kill anyone who dares to cause trouble. Third Xing's eyes glinted coldly. The 10th Elder's pupils shrank. Looking at the snake-shaped walking stick in Third Xing's hand, his face was filled with fear. He no longer dared to be arrogant and knelt there obediently. Third Xing smiled coldly, then looked at the crowd around him and said, Everyone, we all know about what happened in the past few days. We, the Rogue Cultivator Alliance, will not tolerate such a person. Thus, Wu Sanyuan and the 10th Elder have been stripped of their positions as elders and city lords. Furthermore, Lord Vice Alliance Master has ordered them to continue kneeling here to apologize and repent until everyone forgives them. I hope that everyone will not misunderstand our Rogue Cultivator Alliance because of 1 or 2 scum. You have to believe in us too. The mission of our Rogue Cultivator Alliance has never changed. Third Xing said passionately. I thought the Rogue Cultivator Alliance was going to protect them. That's what I originally thought too. At most, I would only punish them a bit. Never would I have expected that they would be forced to kneel and repent in public. It seems like the Rogue Cultivator Alliance is treating this matter fairly. However, it will never be possible to forgive them. Scum like them should be taken away by the heavens so that they won't continue to harm others. Everyone was in a heated discussion. Third Xing frowned subtly when he heard these discussions. It seemed like he had completely angered the crowd this time. It would be difficult to calm the anger of the people. In short, we are sincerely apologizing to everyone. We also hope that everyone will give our Rogue Cultivator Alliance another chance. As for these 4 people, you can do whatever you want to them. Third Xing bowed deeply to the Lord, then silently retreated to the side. Do whatever we want to them? Really? Everyone asked. Really? Third Xing nodded. Huh, all right then. I've been unhappy with Wu Sanyuan for a long time. He's been bullying us all day long just because he's the city lord of Cloud Sea City. Pooh, you're a scum. A middle-aged man ran into the square and immediately spat on Wu Sanyuan's face. You! Wu Sanyuan immediately glared at the middle-aged man. What about me? You're no longer the city lord of Cloud Sea City and you're still trying to scare me? The middle-aged man sneered, then looked at the 10th Elder and scolded, and you old fart. Zhao Eryong is such a good person and you actually allowed your grandson to kill him. You're worse than an animal. After he finished speaking, he sprayed another mouthful of saliva on the 10th elder's face. When had the 10th elder ever suffered such humiliation? A strand of divine sense immediately appeared and charged towards the middle-aged man. The middle-aged man was shocked and hurriedly retreated in panic. Humph. But at the same time, Third Xing snorted coldly. With quick reflexes, he swung the snake-shaped walking stick in his hand and shattered that strand of divine sense on the spot. Looks like you won't be obedient even if I destroy your sea of qi. Third Xing smiled coldly and took out 4 bracelets from his universe ring and put them on the 10th elder and the other 3. Soul-sealing magic stone. The 10th elder was shocked. That's right. Let's see how you can still be arrogant after putting on the soul-sealing magic stone. Third Xing sneered. Soul-sealing magic stone? I heard that Zhao Eryong's family was killed by his grandson because they couldn't use their divine soul because they were wearing the soul-sealing magic stone. This is really an eye for an eye. Old bastard, you didn't expect this, did you? A few more people ran up and started to punch and kick the 10th elder. It was really pitiful for the 10th elder of the Rogue Cultivators Alliance to be reduced to such a state. But no one sympathized with him. They were all gloating over his misfortune. Isn't this the 10th elder? What's wrong with you? Why are you kneeling here? Suddenly, a strange voice sounded. A young man walked out from the crowd and entered the square. Mo-Yuan? Third Xing was stunned. The 10th elder, Wu Sanyuan, and the other 2 also looked at the person in shock. That's right. He was Mo-Yuan after Qin Feiyang's disguise. What's going on? And you guys, don't you have eyes? Don't you know this is the 10th elder of our Rogue Cultivators Alliance? Be more polite to him. Look carefully, be like me. After Qin Feiyang finished speaking, he directly kicked the 10th elder's crotch. Ouch! The 10th elder suddenly let out a miserable howl like a pig being slaughtered. He covered his crotch with both hands and his face was pale. Everyone looked at Qin Feiyang in shock. This was called being polite? It seemed that they didn't have a deep understanding of the word polite in the past. 10th elder, I've been very polite to you. In the future, don't try to trick me again. I'm just a small fry. Even if you succeed, what can you do? But if it's like this again and you accidentally put yourself in danger, then the loss outweighs the gain. Qin Feiyang laughed. Little bastard, I swear, I'll kill you. The 10th elder stared at Qin Feiyang with resentment. Qin Feiyang kicked him again. The 10th elder was in so much pain that his face contorted. See, don't scare me. I'm a timid person. Once I'm scared, I'll lose control. If you kick me until I explode, I won't be able to pay for it. Qin Feiyang said with grievance. Shameless. Shameless. He's still feeling wronged. Everyone shook their heads. It seemed that this person wasn't easy to deal with either. Seeing this scene, Third Xing's rough face was also holding back a smile. You guys are here too? Sorry, I didn't notice you guys just now. Qin Feiyang's gaze turned and landed on Wu Sanyuan and Zhao Yunhai. The 3 of them instinctively covered their crotches. Qin Feiyang's mouth twitched and said with a smile, calm down, calm down. I don't have that kind of special hobby. I'm not very interested in you guys. Not only did the 3 of them not feel humiliated, they even breathed a sigh of relief. Qin Feiyang retracted his gaze and leaned over to the 10th elder's ear, whispering, Old bastard, how do you feel? Although I'm not as strong as you, as long as I use my brain a little, I have 10,000 ways to make you wish you were dead. You, the 10th elder looked at Qin Feiyang in shock and anger. That's right, I planned all of this. But there's one thing that I didn't expect. Qin Feiyang and Madman Mo would actually interfere. However, their appearance has made this plan even more perfect. Qin Feiyang chuckled. He said this purely to stop the 10th elder's imagination from running wild. He didn't want the 10th elder to think that he had something to do with Qin Feiyang and Madman Mo. You're ruthless. The 10th elder gritted his teeth. Ruthless? No, 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 I'm just giving you a taste of your own medicine. Of course, if you want to continue playing, then I don't mind playing with you even more ruthless. Qin Feiyang said in a low voice, and then laughed. Then, 10th elder, I won't disturb you anymore. You can enjoy it slowly, don't be polite to everyone. After saying that, Qin Feiyang nodded and smiled at Third Xing, then turned and left. Mo Yuan is right. We have to be more polite to the 10th elder, so that he won't take revenge on us. That's right, that's right. We have to be gentle. Don't be so violent. Everyone started to jeer. Although they said that, their actions were more and more ruthless. In the square, miserable howls continued. Among them, Zhao Yunhai and Zhao Tianyun were filled with regret. Originally, they could have relied on their relationship with Zhao Xiaojin to make the Zhao family stronger. However, because of a single mistake, not only did they destroy the Zhao family, they also destroyed themselves. If they had known that Zhao Xiaojin and Mo Yuan were so capable that they could bring down the 10th elder, they would not have listened to Wu Sanyuan's instigation even if they were beaten to death. What a pity. It was too late to regret now. He had to grit his teeth and finish eating the evil fruit that he had sowed. Tianyue Tower. Qin Feiyang, Madman, White-Eyed Wolf, and Yuqing sat together with smiles on their faces. Although I couldn't kill them, it was more satisfying than killing them. Madman snickered. Actually, to torture a person, you don't have to kill him. Just like these 4 people, living now is more painful than dying. Qin Feiyang shook his head and smiled. Then, Qin Dage, what are your plans now? Yuqing asked. The matter has been resolved. It's time to leave. Qin Feiyang took a sip of tea and looked at Yuqing with a smile. Chapter 3160. Leave? Yuqing was slightly taken aback and quickly asked, where to? Find a place to cultivate in seclusion. Qin Feiyang smiled slightly. Just cultivating in seclusion? Then you can stay in our Tianyue building. Don't worry, no one will disturb you if you stay here. Yuqing said. Little girl, what do you mean by that? Do you have any ulterior motives for wanting us to stay in Tianyue building? The White-Eyed Wolf looked at her teasingly. No. I cherish friends like you very much. Besides, you know my situation. I'm all alone, so I hope to make more sincere friends. Yuqing said faintly. I see. I thought you had taken a fancy to one of them. The White-Eyed Wolf chuckled. Nonsense. Yuqing's cheeks turned red. Qin Feiyang in frenzy couldn't help but stare at the White-Eyed Wolf. We still prefer to find a quiet place to cultivate. Besides, we've already established a contract bridge. If you need any help, you can send us a message. Not to mention that we'll be at your beck and call. As long as we can help, we won't refuse. Qin Feiyang smiled faintly. That's fine. Yuqing nodded with a trace of disappointment on her face. By the way, didn't you say that Yi Miao is also here? Why haven't I seen her? Frenzy asked curiously. Miao Miao is in East Sea City. Yuqing smiled and then explained, now that our business is getting bigger and bigger, there are more than 100 branches. Naturally, we can't stay together every day like before. More than 100 branches? Frenzy was stunned. He raised his thumb and praised, amazing. No. This is all thanks to Old Man Yu's help. Without their secret support, we wouldn't have been able to develop so quickly. Yuqing waved her hand repeatedly. Looks like your relationship with Shui Tiansheng and the others is pretty good. Qin Feiyang smiled. Yes. Yue Qing nodded and hurriedly said, but Miao Miao and I both know that they only helped us because of you. Qin Feiyang shook his head and smiled, saying, don't be so modest. Shui Tiansheng and the others can help, but that's only in secret. The ones who are truly capable are you guys. Qin Dage, you flatter me. Yue Qing waved her hands. Alright then, you guys continue to work hard. Maybe one day, I'll have to rely on your Tianyue Tower. Qin Feiyang smiled. If such a day really comes, don't worry. Even if you ask us to go through fire and water, we won't hesitate. Yu Qing said with a firm expression. Huh, Qin Feiyang laughed and stood up. Then I'll thank you in advance. See you again. Come visit when you're free. Yu Qing also hurriedly stood up to send him off. I will. Qin Feiyang nodded, opened a teleportation altar, and quickly left with the white-eyed wolf and the madman. Above a glacier. Qin Feiyang appeared out of thin air and landed on an ice peak, looking at the azure wave snow mountain in front of him from afar. Heavy snow continued to fall, and bone-chilling cold wind hung in the void. The madman and the white-eyed wolf had already entered the black tortoise world. Qin Feiyang naturally planned to return to the alliance capital. Although the vice leader's performance this time had indeed impressed him, his intuition told him that he still couldn't be careless. Therefore, in the future, he had to be careful in the alliance capital and not reveal any flaws. Whoosh! Taking a deep breath, Qin Feiyang took out a sound transmission crystal, sent a message to Zhao Xiaojin, and then flew forward. Not long after, he arrived in front of the barrier. The black-robed old man guarding the barrier also appeared. Looking at Qin Feiyang, the black-robed old man's eyes couldn't help but flash a cold light, but his face was full of smiles, and said, "You're back." Qin Feiyang nodded. The black-robed old man took out a token and opened the barrier. Qin Feiyang looked at the token without batting an eyelid, then entered the barrier, looked at the black-robed old man, and said with a smile, "I still have to thank you for your care." Care? The black-robed old man was stunned and asked in confusion, "Did this old man take care of you?" "Of course. If it wasn't for your care, how could Zhao Xiaojin and I have encountered so many things in the Zhao family?" Qin Feiyang chuckled. "What do you mean by that?" The black-robed old man frowned. He never thought that Qin Feiyang would be so direct, pointing out this matter as soon as he arrived. "What do I mean? You know very well in your heart." Qin Feiyang smiled, and then flew towards the alliance capital without looking back. The black-robed old man turned around and stared at Qin Feiyang's back, his eyes flickering. Suddenly, Qin Feiyang stopped again. He looked at the black-robed old man and said with a smile, "The heavens are watching what people do. It's better for you to be a bit more careful in the future. After all, the 10th elder is a good example." The black-robed old man's expression froze. Qin Feiyang did not say anything else, and turned to leave. The black-robed old man's eyes flickered, and suddenly said, "Mo Yuan, wait." Qin Feiyang stopped and turned to look at him suspiciously. The black-robed old man flew forward, his face full of sincerity, and cupped his hands. "This old man apologizes to you." "Apologize?" Qin Feiyang was startled. "Yes. Since you've already seen through it, then this old man might as well admit it." "That's right, it was this old man who informed the 10th elder. But this old man also has his own difficulties. You know the 10th elder's position in the Rogue Cultivator Alliance, people like us can't afford to offend him." The black-robed old man sighed. "That's true." Qin Feiyang nodded. "So, this old man sincerely begs for your forgiveness." The black-robed old man said. "Since it's all said and done, then it's nothing." From now on, let's be friends. Qin Feiyang smiled faintly. Little brother, you're really a straightforward person. The black-robed old man laughed. He didn't expect Qin Feiyang to be so easy to talk to. Then I'll go back first. Qin Feiyang said. All right. The black-robed old man nodded. However, just as Qin Feiyang turned around, the black-robed old man's eyes flashed with killing intent, and he slapped towards Qin Feiyang's back. However, Qin Feiyang seemed to have a pair of eyes on his back. The moment the black-robed old man made his move, he moved sideways like lightning, avoiding the black-robed old man's palm. What? The black-robed old man's face changed. He originally thought that a sincere apology would definitely dispel the guard in Qin Feiyang's heart, but he didn't expect that he was still guarding against him. Qin Feiyang slowly turned around and sneered, "Old thing, do you think I can't feel the killing intent in your heart?" That's right. From the beginning, he felt the killing intent in the black-robed old man's eyes, so he had been secretly vigilant. Moreover, the black-robed old man's move was exactly what he wanted. Simply put, his last words were to lure the black-robed old man to make a move. Heaven was watching what people did. The 10th elder was a lesson to be learned. These words were actually a threat. The black-robed old man was a smart person, and he definitely understood the meaning of these words. Naturally, he couldn't help but have the killing intent in his heart. And this place was still very far away from the alliance. Even if the black-robed old man made a move to kill him, no one would know, so the black-robed old man couldn't help but make a move. But the black-robed old man didn't know. All of this was within Qin Feiyang's calculations. Because the black-robed old man was the 10th elder's man, leaving him alive would sooner or later become a disaster, so if there was a chance, he must get rid of him quickly. And the black-robed old man didn't let him down. At the same time, when the black-robed old man heard Qin Feiyang's words, his pupils shrank. His killing intent had been concealed very well, but it still didn't escape this boy's senses. This boy's sensitivity to killing intent was too terrifying. However, just as Qin Feiyang said, this place was still very far away from the alliance. Even if he made a move, no one would know. Sure enough, you have some ability. No wonder even the 10th elder fell in your hands, but this is the end. The black-robed old man said coldly, and a terrifying majesty shrouded Qin Feiyang. Qin Feiyang was immediately confined in the void, and then the black-robed old man once again charged towards Qin Feiyang. And here? You're too naive. Without arranging everything in advance, do you think I would dare to face you alone? Qin Feiyang sneered. Stop. Before he finished speaking, a cold shout sounded. Following closely, two figures broke through the sky like lightning. One of them was Yi Tian. The other was a black-robed man with a cold face and sharp eyes. The aura emitted from his body was unfathomable. Young Master Yi Tian. The black-robed old man's expression changed. Qin Feiyang's ridicule on his face became even more intense. That's right. Before entering the bounded domain, he sent a message to Zhao Xiaojin, asking Zhao Xiaojin to tell Yi Tian to bring someone to pick him up. And also to get rid of this person. Whoosh! The black-robed man took Yi Tian and landed in front of Qin Feiyang like lightning. A cold light flashed in the black-robed man's eyes. With a wave of his hand, the pressure that imprisoned Qin Feiyang was immediately shattered. Qin Feiyang regained his freedom and looked at Yi Tian with a smile. Young Master Yi Tian, I'm sorry to trouble you to come here in person. It's okay. Yi Tian waved his hand and smiled. Looking at the black-robed old man, he said, Do you know the consequences of harming a disciple of the Hall of the Exalted for no reason? Young Master, please spare my life. It's not my fault. He offended me first. The black-robed old man hurriedly protested, obviously trying to make a false accusation. He offended you first. Do you think I'm that easy to fool? Yi Tian sneered. It's true. I'm not lying to you. He just said that I'm an accomplice of the 10th elder. Isn't he trying to get me killed? Besides, he hasn't entered the Hall of the Exalted yet, so he's not a disciple of the Hall of the Exalted. The black-robed old man said. Sure enough, they're jackals of the same lair. Fortunately, I'm prepared. Qin Feiyang shook his head and raised his arm. A sacred voice-transmitting stone suddenly appeared in his palm. Yes. Before entering the bounded domain, he had secretly taken out the sacred voice-transmitting stone and recorded everything in order to make this person completely shut up. Looking at the sacred voice-transmitting stone, the black-robed old man finally realized that he had been completely tricked. He immediately collapsed. Do you want me to show you the recorded scene? Qin Feiyang looked at him with a playful face. Chapter 3161. No need, no need. The black-robed elder waved his hand. I want to see it. Yi Tian said. Okay. Qin Feiyang nodded and smiled. With a wave of his hand, the recorded image slowly unfolded in the void. Bastard! After Yi Tian finished reading, he was furious. The black-robed man's eyes were also filled with a shocking cold light. I deserve to die, I deserve to die. Please spare my life, give me another chance. The black-robed elder quickly knelt on the ground and begged. If Mo Wuji didn't inform us in advance, would you give him a chance? Yi Tian's face was cold. The black-robed elder was terrified and trembled. You wouldn't. Just as we saw, you would kill him without hesitation. How preposterous. I let you guard this place to protect the Alliance capital, not to be the 10th elder's lackey. Second Xing, kill him. Yi Tian roared. The black-robed man immediately attacked and slapped the black-robed elder. The black-robed elder turned and fled. However, the black-robed man's cultivation had already reached the level of a perfected dominator. How could he escape? The black-robed elder died on the spot as his blood dyed the glacier red. Qin Feiyang looked at Yi Tian. He was a righteous person who could distinguish between kindness and hatred. He was indeed a good person. Unfortunately, why did he have such a sinister grandfather? Wait. Second Xing. Suddenly. Qin Feiyang looked at the black-robed man. After a closer look, he realized that the black-robed man looked similar to Third Xing. May I ask, what's your relationship with Third Xing? Qin Feiyang looked at the black-robed man and asked. Third Xing is my younger brother. Second Xing smiled and looked at Qin Feiyang. His attitude was completely different. I see. Qin Feiyang nodded and said half-jokingly, your younger brother is Third Xing and you are Second Xing. Don't tell me you have another elder brother? Indeed. Our elder brother is Xingde. Second Xing nodded. Qin Feiyang was stunned. Yi Tian smiled and said, the three of them are my grandfather's right-hand men. My grandfather trusts them more than he trusts me. Really? Qin Feiyang was surprised. Yes. Yi Tian nodded, and there seemed to be some jealousy in his eyes. Young master, you must be joking. You are the Lord's grandson, and we are only his subordinates. How can we compare? Second interrogation officer shook his head. Come on, I'm not blind. Yi Tian rolled his eyes at him and said, you will guard this place for now. When the time comes, find someone we can trust to replace you. All right. Second Xing nodded and walked to the black-robed old man's corpse. He took off his cosmos ring and took out the token. As for the black-robed old man's corpse, second interrogation officer waved his hand and crushed it into pieces. Yi Tian retracted his gaze and looked at Qin Feiyang with a smile. Then let's go back. Little Jean has already prepared food and wine at home to reward you. Is that necessary? Qin Feiyang was stunned. Of course. You have been out there for the past few days. In order to deal with the Zhao family, Wu Sanyuan, and the 10th elder, you have worked hard. I must treat you to a few drinks. That's what I want too. Yi Tian smiled. Qin Feiyang shook his head and smiled. It seems that I can't hide it from you. Isn't it obvious? Others may not know, but little Jean and I know very well the reason why you stayed out there. Let's go. Yi Tian patted Qin Feiyang's shoulder, and the two immediately flew toward the alliance capital. This man is a talent. If he is willing to help young master will definitely become the next leader in the future. Second Xing looked at Qin Feiyang's back and muttered to himself. Obviously. Whether it was the deputy leader, Yi Tian, or the people around them, they all had a good impression of Qin Feiyang. Alliance capital, East City. Aren't we going back to little Jin's home? Walking on the street, Qin Feiyang looked at Yi Tian suspiciously. Yes. Didn't I just say that little Jean will personally prepare the food and wine when she gets home? Yi Tian nodded. She hasn't entered the Hall of Fame? Qin Feiyang was suspicious. Yes. However, the Hall of Fame doesn't restrict her freedom. She can go wherever she wants. Yi Tian smiled. I see. Qin Feiyang nodded in realization. Brother Mo, you are back. You don't have to worry now. Under the wise judgment of the deputy leader, the 10th elder has been brought to justice. Along the way, the people they met all greeted Qin Feiyang from afar. Although Qin Feiyang had only been in the alliance capital for more than 300 years and had been in seclusion for more than 300 years, after the incident with Feng Wanyun, everyone now knew of his existence. Moreover, they also knew that Qin Feiyang did not hesitate to offend the 10th elder in order to help Zhao Xiaojin. Everyone admired him for his love and righteousness. Thank you for your concern. Qin Feiyang also responded to them with a smile. Soon, the two of them entered the suburbs and arrived at Zhao Xiaojin's home. In the backyard, smoke rose in spirals. Before entering the courtyard, they could smell the aroma of food. Let me tell you, little Jean is good at cooking. It smells better than the dishes in those restaurants. Yi Tian pushed open the door of the courtyard and led Qin Feiyang to the attic while chuckling. It seems that you really know her well. Qin Feiyang smiled. After all, we have known each other for so many years. Yi Tian smiled. The two of them walked into the backyard and saw Zhao Xiaojin busying herself in front of the stove alone. You are back. Sensing the aura of the two, Zhao Xiaojin turned to look at them and smiled. Yes. Yi Tian nodded. Did anything happen? Zhao Xiaojin asked. There really was. If I hadn't arrived in time with second interrogation officer, I'm afraid your big brother Mo would have been doomed. Yi Tian shook his head. That old thing. The 10th elder has already fallen, but he still refuses to come to his senses. Zhao Xiaojin's eyes were full of anger. He asked, how should we deal with him? Yi Tian made a throat-slitting gesture. Good death. Zhao Xiaojin laughed heartily and said, go and sit outside first. If you want to drink tea, do it yourself. I'll be done soon. Don't you need our help? Yi Tian asked. Help? Two grown men. I'm afraid that the more you help, the more trouble you'll cause. Go on, don't hinder me here. Zhao Xiaojin waved his hand impatiently. All right then. Yi Tian nodded and smiled. He looked at Qin Feiyang and said, then let's not ask for trouble here. Yes. Qin Feiyang nodded. The two of them returned to the attic hall and sat opposite each other. Do you want to drink tea or wine? Yi Tian asked. Drink tea. Qin Feiyang said. Not bad. I like to drink tea too. Coincidentally, I also have some top-grade tea leaves on me. After Yi Tian finished speaking, he began to make tea. Not long after, a pot of tea was brewed. Yi Tian poured a cup and handed it to Qin Feiyang. He smiled and said, "Try it." Qin Feiyang took the teacup. He first smelled it, then took a sip. He nodded and said, "Not bad." Not bad? Yi Tian was slightly stunned. He frowned and said, "From the sound of your words, you don't seem to be very satisfied." This, Qin Feiyang hesitated for a moment, then smiled and said, "To be honest, this tea can be considered good tea, but it seems to be far from being top grade. Don't call me young master, you're treating me like an outsider. We can be considered comrades in arms. If you don't mind, just call me Big Brother Yi like Little Jean." Yi Tian smiled. Qin Feiyang laughed, "This is my honor, how could I dislike it? But I'm worried that someone will say that I'm trying to curry favor behind my back. After all, gossip is a fearful thing. You still care about this?" Yi Tian was speechless. "Huh," Qin Feiyang smiled and nodded, "then it would be impolite for me to refuse." "That's more like it. Just now, you said that this tea is still far from being top grade. Could it be that Brother Mo has better tea leaves? If you do, then you must take it out and let me have a taste." Yi Tian's eyes lit up. "Looks like I've really met a kindred spirit." Qin Feiyang smiled, took out a tea jar, and placed it on the coffee table. The tea jar was very inconspicuous. It was only made of ordinary jade. But when Yi Tian opened the tea jar, his eyes lit up. Immediately after, he couldn't wait to take out some tea leaves and boil them in boiling water. Fragrant. Sure enough, this is a top-grade tea. Just by smelling the tea fragrance, he couldn't help but salivate. When he really tasted it, he was completely intoxicated. As the eldest grandson of the Vice Alliance leader, he had naturally drunk a lot of good tea. But this was the first time he had tasted this kind of tea. The tea fragrance was pure, and the most wonderful thing was that there was a hint of medicinal fragrance in the tea fragrance. The most important thing was that this medicinal fragrance not only did not affect the fragrance of the tea leaves, but instead blended with the tea fragrance, forming a unique fragrance that made people addicted. "If Brother Yi doesn't mind, I'll give this jar of tea to you." Qin Feiyang smiled slightly. I don't mind. This kind of good tea, if you give me a few more jars, I'll take them all. In any case, I definitely won't be polite with you." Yi Tian chuckled and immediately put away the canister of tea leaves. Qin Feiyang shook his head and smiled. He was indeed a very easygoing person. "Brother Mo, let me ask you something. Where did you get this tea from?" Yi Tian smiled as he tasted the tea and looked at Qin Feiyang curiously. "What's wrong?" Qin Feiyang was suspicious. Yi Tian said, "I'm just worried that if I finish this jar, I won't have any more to drink in the future. This tea, you can't buy it outside." Qin Feiyang shook his head. "Can't buy it?" Yi Tian was stunned. "Yes. This tea was personally cultivated by a younger sister of mine." Qin Feiyang smiled. "That amazing?" Yi Tian was stunned and immediately asked, "What younger sister? Can you introduce me to her? I must curry favor with the person who can cultivate such good tea. She's not with me now, but there will be plenty of opportunities in the future." Qin Feiyang smiled slightly. "Then I'll look forward to it." Yi Tian nodded and smiled. Then, he glanced at the backyard and whispered, "Brother Mo, what do you think of our Xiao Jin?" Chapter 3162. Your little Jean. Qin Feiyang was stunned. It's not me, it's us. Now that we're the only ones left by little Jin's side, she's naturally our family. Yi Tian said. Then why are you asking me what she's like? What do you mean by that? Qin Feiyang was puzzled. Answer me first. Yi Tian smiled. She's not bad. She's good in the kitchen and most importantly, she's talented and kind-hearted. Qin Feiyang nodded. You have a good eye. In short, other than being a little wild, little Jean is a good person. Yi Tian smiled. Brother Yi, what do you want to say? Don't beat around the bush, just say it. Qin Feiyang said. Then I'll get straight to the point. Although I'm not related to little Jean by blood, in my eyes, little Jean is my biological sister. In the past, she had her family to take care of her and I had no right to interfere. But now, she's all alone, so I'd like to settle her marriage. As for you, although we haven't known each other for long, from the way you protected little Jean and dealt with the 10th elder, I can tell that you're a very righteous and responsible man. So I'm thinking, Yi Tian smiled. Wait a minute. When Qin Feiyang heard this, he hurriedly reached out and interrupted Yi Tian. You're not thinking of matchmaking me with her, right? That's right. That's what I mean. Because I believe that you're capable of taking care of her and giving her happiness. Apart from you, I'm really worried about leaving little Jean in the hands of others because you've seen for yourself that there's no one reliable among the younger generation of the Itinerant Cultivator Alliance. Yi Tian sighed. Stop, stop. Qin Feiyang hurriedly waved his hands. What's wrong? Don't you have any feelings for little Jean at all? Yi Tian looked at Qin Feiyang suspiciously. Qin Feiyang shook his head and said, Little Jean is indeed very outstanding and I can take care of her, but I can't be with her. Why? Yi Tian was puzzled. First of all, I'm already married. Qin Feiyang said. Already married? Yi Tian was stunned. Yes. Qin Feiyang nodded and smiled. Although it's normal for a man to have 3 wives and 4 concubines, I personally think that it's better to be single-minded. If I can give her happiness, then I definitely won't only give her 9 points. I didn't expect you to be married. Yi Tian shook his head. Secondly, Zhao Xiaojin already has someone she likes. Qin Feiyang laughed again. Who is it? Why didn't I know about it? Yi Tian was bewildered. Far away on the horizon, yet close at hand. Qin Feiyang smiled. Others said that he was a blockhead, but now it seemed that the person in front of him was not much better than him. After being together for so long, he still didn't know what Zhao Xiaojin was thinking. So far away, yet so close. Yi Tian looked around suspiciously. Apart from him and Qin Feiyang, there was no one else in the hall. Could it be? Suddenly, Yi Tian's expression froze. He looked at Qin Feiyang and pointed at his nose, his face full of bewilderment. Yes. Qin Feiyang nodded. Yi Tian was stunned. Actually, when I first met you, I could already tell that she likes you, but you only treat her as a sister. Furthermore, I've also mentioned this matter to her. Qin Feiyang smiled faintly. Brother Mo, you really have sharp eyes. Yi Tian's face was full of admiration, and then he asked, what's Xiaojin's attitude? Her attitude? Qin Feiyang pondered for a while and shook his head. At that time, I really couldn't tell what her attitude was. This is a big headache. I really only treat her as a sister. Yi Tian rubbed his forehead. Anyway, in my opinion, feelings can't be forced. As for Zhao Xiaojin, I have already told her. Whether she can think it through or not, it's up to her. Qin Feiyang shook his head. Sigh. Yi Tian sighed and said with a wry smile, if you didn't say it, I really wouldn't have noticed. This girl is too much. Why did she fall for such an outstanding man in the Eastern continent? Don't think too much. What she likes is not your identity, nor is it your status. It's just that she likes you. Qin Feiyang said. I know that. Xiao Jin is not a snobbish woman. It's precisely because of this that I'm so close to her. Yi Tian nodded, pondered for a while, and asked, then do you think I should keep a distance from her in the future? Don't do that. Now that she has lost her family and has been betrayed by them, if you deliberately keep a distance from her, she will definitely feel very sad and lonely. In the future, she might even suffer from depression. Qin Feiyang hurriedly advised. That's true. Yi Tian muttered and frowned, then how should I solve this matter? You are experienced, you have to help me come up with ideas. Qin Feiyang pondered for a while and said with a smile, it's not good for me to get involved in this matter, but for the sake of you and Xiao Jin, I'll think about it. Alright, quickly think about it. Yi Tian urged. Qin Feiyang lowered his head and pondered for a while, then said, how about this, when Xiao Jin has walked out of her sorrow, you can directly confess to her. Then, won't that be too cruel to her? Yi Tian frowned. It's better to deal with the pain quickly than to prolong it. At that time, she will definitely feel terrible, but as long as you give her some time to calm down, she will definitely think it through. On the contrary, if you continue to drag it out, she will sink deeper and deeper, and something big will definitely happen. At that time, not to mention continuing to be siblings, you probably can't even be friends. Qin Feiyang said. That makes sense. Alright, I'll listen to you. Then in the future, you have to help me counsel her well. I don't want to see her depressed all day, and even more so, I don't want to see her do anything stupid. Yi Tian said in a low voice, with a hint of pleading. Alright. Qin Feiyang nodded. Then, thank you. Yi Tian smiled and raised his teacup. Qin Feiyang also raised his teacup, and the two of them lightly clinked their teacups and tasted it. Coincidentally, at this moment, Zhao Xiaojin walked out with two side dishes. Seeing Qin Feiyang and Yi Tian happy and harmonious, he revealed a sincere smile. Are you done? Yi Tian asked. Zhao Xiaojin nodded. Then, Brother Mo, let's go help. Yi Tian stood up and smiled. Alright. Qin Feiyang nodded. At the dining table, Zhao Xiaojin naturally couldn't help but thank Qin Feiyang, and Qin Feiyang accepted it calmly. The meal ended amidst laughter and chatter. After packing up everything, the three of them walked out of the courtyard. Zhao Xiaojin locked the door and looked at this familiar home, and there was a trace of sadness in his eyes. It was originally a happy home, but now she was the only one left. Xiao Jin, don't be sad, you still have us. Yi Tian comforted. Zhao Xiaojin nodded, took a deep breath, and turned around resolutely. Let's go to the Hall of the Exalted. At that moment, the three of them left the courtyard, locked the courtyard door, and flew to the Hall of the Exalted. By the way, how did Zhang Sanbao's parents settle it? Qin Feiyang asked. Their parents have been demoted to ordinary members, and their family property has been confiscated. Yi Tian said. Then who is the city lord of East City now? Qin Feiyang asked. It's not confirmed yet, my grandfather has to arrange it. Yi Tian shook his head. Qin Feiyang nodded, looked at Zhao Xiaojin, and reminded, then we have to be more careful in the future. That's not necessary. The 10th elder has been executed, and they definitely won't dare to do anything to you. Yi Tian said. Although they won't dare to deal with us openly, it's hard to guard against a stab in the back. These people are quite strong. Once they succeed, we will lose our lives, so we can't be careless. Qin Feiyang shook his head. That's true. Yi Tian nodded, pondered for a moment, and said, "How about this, when you enter the Hall of the Exalted later, all of you go to my place. With me around, even if they have 100 guts, they won't dare to plot against you. Will this work?" Qin Feiyang was stunned. "What's wrong with that?" "It's decided then." Yi Tian smiled. "You're the big brother, you have the final say." Qin Feiyang smiled. This was actually more advantageous for him. Firstly, with Yi Tian's deterrence, he could save a lot of trouble. Secondly, he could get closer to the deputy leader through his relationship with Yi Tian. Chapter 3163. The exit of the trial ground was about 1,000 miles to the west. There was a glacier that towered into the clouds. The center of the glacier was completely different from other places. Here, there was no snow at all, the vegetation was lush and full of vitality, like an oasis sitting in the glacier. Here, young men and women would often appear, each with a dignified appearance and extraordinary temperament. That's right. This was the Hall of the Exalted. The gathering place of the Rogue Cultivator Alliance's geniuses. Those who entered here, except for the prodigal sons like Feng Wanyun, all of them had mastered the power of law. It could be said that they were all the future mainstays of the Rogue Cultivator Alliance. When Qin Feiyang followed Yi Tian and Zhao Xiaojin here, he sensed the aura of no less than 100,000 people. Among these people, they were basically at the perfection imperishable realm, and there were also Dominator realm. The Dominator realm powerhouses here are older than me. When you see them in the future, no matter what, you have to be polite. Yi Tian reminded. Don't worry, I never take the initiative to cause trouble. Qin Feiyang smiled slightly. But you're not afraid of trouble, right? Yi Tian smiled. Qin Feiyang laughed and asked, how many people are here? What's the cultivation of the strongest person? It seems that there are more than 100,000 people. As for the cultivation of the strongest, it's the Dominator realm. Because once the cultivation surpasses the Dominator realm, they will leave the Hall of the Exalted and take on important positions outside. For example, Xiaojin's father, Zhao Eryong, used to stay in the Hall of the Exalted. Yi Tian transmitted his voice. I see. Qin Feiyang nodded in realization. Finally, the three came to the edge of the oasis. Yi Tian took out a golden token, and as divine power poured in, a golden light rushed forward. At that moment, a barrier appeared in the void in front of them. As the golden light merged, a crack suddenly appeared on the barrier. Let's go. Yi Tian took the lead and stepped into the barrier. Qin Feiyang and Zhao Xiaojin followed closely behind. When he entered the barrier, Qin Feiyang clearly felt that the energy of the crystal vein and soul line here far exceeded that of the outside. Moreover, due to the isolation of the barrier, the temperature here was completely different from outside, like spring flowers in full bloom. This barrier, Qin Feiyang turned around and glanced at the barrier that was gradually disappearing into the void. This barrier was set up by the League Master himself. Firstly, it is to protect the people of the Hall of the Exalted. Secondly, it is to seal the energy of the crystal vein and the soul line here. As for the token to open the barrier, you'll have to go to the duty hall to get it later. This token is also the identity token of a Hall of the Exalted disciple. Yi Tian explained. I see. Qin Feiyang mumbled and asked, then, is it the same as the outside world? You can't activate teleportation altars or teleportation divine tools here? That's for sure. That's because this barrier is the same as the one that enveloped the entire Mount Azure Wave Snow Mountain. It was formed by the laws of space and time. Yi Tian nodded. Qin Feiyang came to a sudden realization and asked curiously, I heard that Lord Alliance Master is recognized as the #1 person in the entire Eastern continent in terms of attainments in the laws of space and time. Is this true? Of course it's true. Not to mention the Eastern continent, even in the entire Sky Cloud realm, there are only a few people who can compare with our Alliance Master. Yi Tian smiled proudly. Qin Feiyang's eyes shone with a strange light. He could not help but have a strong interest in this Alliance Master. Why? Do you want to meet the Alliance Master? Yi Tian smiled. Of course. As a member of the Rogue Cultivator Alliance, who doesn't want to meet the Alliance Master in person? Qin Feiyang smiled faintly. You'll have the chance. But to tell you the truth, even I haven't seen the Alliance Master in person. Yi Tian shook his head. What? You haven't seen him? Qin Feiyang was stunned. Zhao Xiaojin also looked at Yi Tian with a surprised expression. Yes. Our Alliance Master is very mysterious. In the entire Rogue Cultivator Alliance, except for my grandfather, the 10 Great Elders, and the Hall Master of the Hall of the Exalted, no one has seen him. Yi Tian shook his head. There's a Hall Master in the Hall of the Exalted? Qin Feiyang was stunned. Of course. And you've seen him? Yi Tian nodded. Seen him? Qin Feiyang's face was full of suspicion. When had he seen the Hall of Famers? Brother Mo, it's the white-robed old man we met at the exit of the trial ground. Zhao Xiaojin smiled. So it's him. Qin Feiyang's face was full of astonishment. Why? Doesn't he look like him? Yi Tian looked at him in amusement. He really doesn't look like him. I thought he was just an ordinary old man guarding the exit. Qin Feiyang smiled bitterly. There's no other way. He's just that low-key. And he's a person who hates trouble, so he has been hiding at the exit of the trial ground to cultivate. But his strength and status in the Rogue Cultivator Alliance are not inferior to my grandfather at all. Let's put it this way. Alliance Master, my grandfather, and this Hall of Famers are the top 3 figures in the Rogue Cultivator Alliance. Yi Tian said. It's really hard to imagine. Qin Feiyang shook his head and turned to look at the Hall of Famers. Huge peaks towered into the sky, exuding a majestic aura. In the mountains, caves of different sizes could be seen everywhere. At the top of a huge peak next to it, there was an ancient hall. This was also the only hall in the entire Hall of Famers. That's the assignment hall. Go and get your identity token. Xiaojin and I will wait for you here. Yi Tian smiled. Okay. Qin Feiyang nodded, jumped up, and landed on the top of the mountain. In front of the hall, there was a square. There was no one in the square, but he sensed a familiar aura in the hall. Qin Feiyang walked into the hall and saw an old man in red sitting in front of a desk with his eyes closed. So it's him. Qin Feiyang muttered. This old man in red was the elder who led them to the entrance of the trial ground. You're here. The old man in red opened his eyes and looked at Qin Feiyang. His tone was very calm. Yes. Qin Feiyang nodded. The old man in red opened a drawer of the desk and took out a token. This token was exactly the same as the one that Yi Tian took out before. The old man in red waved his hand, and 3 words appeared on the token, "Don't have no fate. Only this token can enter the Hall of Famers. You must keep it well." The old man in red handed the token to Qin Feiyang and exhorted. I'll keep it in mind. Qin Feiyang nodded and took the token. The token seemed to be cast in gold. There were 3 words on the front, Hall of Famers, and his name on the back. Also, although you have a good relationship with Yi Tian, there are many people in the Hall of Famers who are stronger than Yi Tian. So from now on, don't mess around in the Hall of Famers just because you have Yi Tian's support. Besides, there are rules in the Hall of Famers that prohibit disciples from fighting in private. If you really have any grievances to settle, go to the fighting arena. However, before going to the fighting arena, you must report to the Deacon Hall first. In other words, you must get my permission first. The old man in red said. Understood. Qin Feiyang nodded. Then go. You can pick your own cave residence. The old man in red waved his hand, closed his eyes, and continued to rest. I'll take my leave. Qin Feiyang cupped his hands and turned to walk out of the hall. Don't mess around in the Hall of Famers just because you have Yi Tian's support. Was this a warning? When Qin Feiyang jumped down the mountain and met up with Yi Tian immediately asked, how was his attitude towards you? A little cold. Qin Feiyang said. That's right. Don't underestimate our Deacon Hall elder. He's the Hall Master's younger brother. Even my grandfather and the 10 elders have to give him some face. Yi Tian said with a smile. The Hall Master's younger brother? Qin Feiyang was stunned. This identity was really scary. Let's go. Yi Tian smiled and led the two of them to the mountain range on the left. Isn't that Mo Yuanyuan and Zhao Xiaojin? They actually let Yi Tian lead the way in person. It seems that their relationship is really deep. You don't know about this. This Mo Yuanyuan is also a ruthless character. It is said that he killed Feng Wanyun with his own hands in front of the 10th elder. Killed Feng Wanyun in front of the 10th elder? He's a badass. Soon. Some people in the Hall of Famers found Qin Feiyang and the other two. They looked at the three of them from afar and whispered. At the same time. Under Yi Tian's lead, Qin Feiyang and Zhao Xiaojin soon came to a giant peak. This giant peak was like a sharp sword. It was located at the edge of the Hall of Famers and could be considered very remote. I don't like to be disturbed, so I've been living here alone. And here, I named it Sky Peak. Yi Tian smiled. That's just right. I don't like to be disturbed either. Qin Feiyang smiled. It seems that the two of us really get along well. Yi Tian laughed. Qin Feiyang cupped his hands and smiled. Then, please take care of me in the future, Brother Yi. I should be the one saying this. I heard from Xiaojin that you have already comprehended the fourth profound meaning of the Law of Thunder. Yi Tian said. Qin Feiyang was stunned. He turned to look at Zhao Xiaojin and said speechlessly, why didn't I realize that you are a very gossipy woman? I just said it casually. Besides, I didn't tell anyone else except Brother Yi Tian. Zhao Xiaojin pursed her lips. Then you'd better keep it a secret for me. After all, there is a saying that the tallest tree in the forest will be destroyed by the wind. We'd better keep a low profile. Qin Feiyang said. I agree with this statement. Yi Tian nodded. Got it. Zhao Xiaojin waved her hand impatiently. Qin Feiyang and Yi Tian looked at each other and shook their heads helplessly. The cave abodes have been opened. You guys can choose whatever you want. I have to hurry up and work hard. I hope that I can also comprehend the fourth profound meaning during this closed-door cultivation. After Yi Tian said that, he took a step forward and entered one of the cave abodes. Zhao Xiaojin chuckled and said, it seems that Brother Yi Tian is feeling pressure from you. His pressure should be from you. Your law of light has also reached the third profound meaning. If you surpass him by then, how embarrassing would it be for him as the big brother? Qin Feiyang smiled. That's nothing. After all, I have only comprehended one law power, while Brother Yi Tian has mastered two. Zhao Xiaojin said. Two? Qin Feiyang was slightly stunned. Looking at Yi Tian's law of space and time, Zhao Xiaojin still didn't know. Chapter 3164. Even Zhao Xiaojin didn't know about the spacetime laws, which meant that there was a very important piece of information. Yi Tian kept the spacetime laws a secret. After learning this information, Qin Feiyang couldn't help but break out in cold sweat. Fortunately, he didn't mention Yi Tian's space-time laws before this. Otherwise, Yi Tian would definitely suspect his identity. She might even guess his identity directly. This was because he had seen Yi Tian use the space-time laws outside. "What are you doing?" Zhao Xiaojin looked at Qin Feiyang suspiciously. "Nothing." Qin Feiyang shook his head and asked with a smile, "Where is your previous cave abode?" "My previous cave abode was on Sword Peak, not far from the assignment hall. I have to go over and pack my things later," Zhao Xiaojin said. "I see. Then I won't accompany you." Qin Feiyang smiled and glanced at Sky Peak before entering the second cave abode. "Wait a minute. Go to the third cave abode." Zhao Xiaojin stopped Qin Feiyang and said. "Why?" Qin Feiyang was stunned. "Just go if I tell you to go. Why are you asking so many questions?" Zhao Xiaojin blushed. Qin Feiyang looked at Zhao Xiaojin's reaction and then at the first cave abode and immediately understood. Because Yi Tian was in the first cave abode. Zhao Xiaojin asked him to go to the third cave abode because she wanted to stay in the second cave abode. Because of this, she would be closer to Yi Tian. This silly woman is still bent on getting close to Yi Tian. Qin Feiyang sighed inwardly. Without looking back, he entered Immortal's Cave number 3. He couldn't interfere in matters of the heart before Yi Tian said anything. Indeed. After Qin Feiyang entered the third cave abode, Zhao Xiaojin ran into the second cave abode happily. In the cave abode, Qin Feiyang looked around. The entire cave abode was about 100 feet long. There was a separate living room, lounge, cultivation room, and alchemy room. Although it was small, it had all the essentials. Not bad. Of course. For Qin Feiyang, this immortal cave did not have much value. Although the Hall of the Exalted had a time array that lasted 500 years, he could completely ignore it. If he wanted to cultivate, he would definitely go to the castle. After making some arrangements, Qin Feiyang waved his hand and the Law of Thunder appeared, sealing the entrance of the cave. Subsequently, he sat in the hall, deep in thought. Now that he had entered the Hall of the Exalted, how should he approach the vice leader next? If it was too deliberate, it would definitely arouse the Vice Alliance Master's disgust and suspicion. However, if he let nature take its course, he didn't know how long it would take to find out the relationship between the Vice Alliance leader and the Blood Hall. Now, he seemed to be missing an opportunity. This was an opportunity to gain the Vice Alliance leader's complete trust. Because in order to understand these matters, the first thing he had to do was to be able to see the Vice Alliance Master whenever he wanted to. In order to do so, he needed to gain the trust of the Vice Alliance leader. Just like Third Xing and his two brothers, they could meet the deputy chief at any time. A moment later, Qin Feiyang shook his head. This matter really couldn't be rushed. He had to slowly wait for an opportunity. Immediately, he entered the castle and comprehended the law of force and the law of wind while refining the soul stone to improve his cultivation. Now that he had mastered 7 kinds of law of force, the only thing he lacked was his cultivation. Now, he was only at the phenomenal Undying Realm, 2 small realms away from the perfected Undying Realm. Therefore, improving his cultivation became the key at the moment. Because even if Qin Feiyang comprehended the 5th profound meaning of the Law of Thunder, his cultivation would not be able to break through to the half-step Sovereign Realm before reaching the perfected Undying Realm. Young Master Yi Tian. Outside. Not long after, a hurried voice sounded from the outside. Qin Feiyang heard this voice, but he ignored it because the other party was looking for Yi Tian, and it had nothing to do with him. Young Master Yi Tian, come out quickly. Zhao Xiaojin is in trouble. After a while, that voice sounded again. Zhao Xiaojin is in trouble? Qin Feiyang was taken aback. He got up and left the castle, appearing in the cave abode. With a wave of his hand, the law of thunder that sealed the door of the cave abode dissipated, and he strode out. He saw a young man in black standing outside Yi Tian's cave abode, his face full of anxiety. "Brother, you said that Zhao Xiaojin is in trouble?" Qin Feiyang asked. "Mo Fengyuan?" The young man in black was taken aback and hurriedly ran to Qin Feiyang, smiling. "Brother Mo, you're here too?" "Yes." Qin Feiyang nodded. "I really envy you and Zhao Xiaojin. You have to know that young Master Yi Tian has never allowed anyone to step into Sky Peak." The young man in black had a look of envy. Qin Feiyang smiled faintly and said, "Let's get down to business." "Yes, yes, yes." The young man in black nodded and said, "Just now, Zhao Xiaojin returned to Sword Peak to pack his things and met Zhang Santian and Feng Wanjian." "Zhang Santian? Feng Wanjian?" Qin Feiyang was slightly taken aback and asked suspiciously, "Who are they? Don't you know?" The young man in black looked at him in a daze. "I just joined the alliance not long ago, so I'm not sure." Qin Feiyang shook his head. "No wonder you don't even know them. You don't know Zhang Santian and Feng Wanjian, but you must be familiar with Zhang Sanbao and Feng Wanyun." The young man in black said. "Yes." Qin Feiyang nodded. "Zhang Santian is Zhang Sanbao's elder brother, and Feng Wanjian is Feng Wanyun's elder brother. Now you know what their goal is, right?" The young man in black said. Qin Feiyang frowned. Zhang Sanbao's elder brother. Feng Wanyun's elder brother, was there a need to think about it? They must be making things difficult for Zhao Xiaojin. The young man in black looked at Yi Tian's cave abode and asked, "Is young Master Yi Tian not here? Why is there no response after shouting for so long?" Qin Feiyang could not help but look at Yi Tian's cave abode. The young man in black shouted so loudly, but there was no response. He should be in seclusion. His eyes flashed slightly. He looked at the young man in black and said with a smile, "Please take me to Sword Peak." "You're going?" The young man in black was stunned. "Yes." Qin Feiyang nodded. "Don't go looking for death. I know your strength. You've already comprehended the third profound of the law of thunder. But Zhang Santian and Feng Wanjian have mastered two types of law powers. And they've already comprehended the third profound of one of the law powers. The most important thing is that they're both at the perfection imperishable stage, and you're only at the profound imperishable stage. The gap is too big. We still need young Master Yi Tian to do this." The young man in black hurriedly persuaded. "It's fine." Qin Feiyang waved his hand and smiled. He was still a little nervous in his heart. After all, Zhang Santian and Feng Wanjian were both seniors in the Hall of the Exalted. Their cultivation should be very strong. But after hearing the young man in black talk about their strength, he felt relieved. Perfection imperishable stage? Two types of law powers? Even Yi Tian was no match for them. What was there to be afraid of? Okay then. Seeing that Qin Feiyang was so determined, the young man in black could not say anything more. He nodded and led the way. Qin Feiyang glanced at the young man in black. This person's cultivation was also good. He was at the perfection imperishable stage. "I haven't asked for your name, senior brother?" Qin Feiyang asked with a smile. "You're still in the mood to smile?" The young man in black looked at Qin Feiyang speechlessly. What kind of mentality was this? Then he said, "My name is Li Yuandao. I also live in Sword Peak. You came here to inform me. Aren't you afraid that Zhang Santian and Feng Wanjian will take revenge on you?" Qin Feiyang said with a smile. "I used to be afraid, but it's different now. The young man in black shook his head. Why? Qin Feiyang was curious. It used to be because of their background. Zhang Santian's father is the city lord of the East City. My family happens to be in the East City, so I have to give in. As for Feng Wanjian's background, I don't need to tell you. But now, Zhang Santian's father and Feng Wanjian's grandfather have been executed. Why should I be afraid of them? The young man in black looked disdainful. But a skinny camel is still bigger than a horse. Qin Feiyang smiled meaningfully. It doesn't matter. My family isn't weak either. The young man in black smiled proudly. Is that so? Qin Feiyang smiled. Yes. I even heard that the Vice Alliance leader wants my father to take over the position of City Lord of the East City. The young man in black smiled. Qin Feiyang was stunned. He nodded and said with a smile, then your family is really not simple. To be qualified to take over the position of City Lord of the East City, Li Yuandao's father had to be at least a greater success or perfect dominator. In other words, Li Yuandao came to inform Yi Tian because he wanted to curry favor with Yi Tian so that his father could take over the position of City Lord of the East City. Because Yi Tian was the Vice Alliance leader's grandson, he just needed to say a few words in front of the Vice Alliance leader to make this matter come true. It seemed that no matter where one was, there would always be a struggle for power and intrigue. Although Qin Feiyang was disgusted by this, there was nothing he could do. This was the way of the world. Everyone was like that. You could change one or two people, but it was impossible to change everyone. About 100 breaths later, under Li Yuandao's lead, a tall and straight giant mountain came into sight. There were at least a few hundred disciples around the giant mountain. Everyone gathered together and looked at the cave abode, discussing in low voices. Zhao Xiaojin killed Zhang Sanbao and Feng Wanyun. He even made the 10th elder and Zhang Deyuan lose their positions as elders and city lords. To Zhang Santian and Feng Wanjian, this is a blood feud. If Zhao Xiaojin doesn't agree, I'm afraid it'll be difficult for him to escape today. What did you say first? What do you mean by killing Zhang Sanbao and Feng Wanyun? They were clearly the ones who framed Zhao Xiaojin first. Zhao Xiaojin is just taking revenge. Besides, Feng Wanyun killed Zhao Xiaojin's family. He deserves to die. That's right, this Feng Wanyun deserves to die. Anyway, no matter what, their grudge has already been formed. If they don't fight to the death, it definitely won't end. Zhang Deyuan was Zhang Sanbao's father, the former city lord of the East City. When Qin Feiyang heard these discussions, he couldn't help but frown, and said, Senior brotherly, what are they forcing Zhao Xiaojin to do? Go to the fighting arena and fight, regardless of life and death. Li Yuandao said in a low voice. Regardless of life and death, Qin Feiyang muttered, wasn't this a battle of life and death? He raised his head and saw that in front of a cave halfway up the mountain, Zhao Xiaojin was standing at the entrance, and in front of him were two young men. Zhao Xiaojin's face was extremely gloomy at this moment. Looking at the two of them, his eyes were filled with disgust. The eyes of the two young men were extremely sharp, and they appeared to be overbearing. Chapter 3165. Who is Zhang Santian? Who is Feng Wanjian? Qin Feiyang sized up the two young men. One was dressed in black, the other in purple, and they were about 1.8 meters tall. But because their backs were facing him, he couldn't see their faces. The one in black is Zhang Santian, and the one in purple is Feng Wanjian. Li Yuandao transmitted his voice. All right then, don't appear with me, lest they hold a grudge. Qin Feiyang smiled faintly, took a step forward, and landed beside Zhao Xiaojin. He smiled and said, I didn't expect the Hall of the Exalted to be so lively. Zhao Xiaojin was stunned. Zhang Santian, Li Yuandao, and the onlookers behind could not help but be stunned. Mo Yuandao? When did he come? Wait. Is he alone? Young Master Yi Tian didn't come? After everyone came back to their senses, they hurriedly looked behind, but they didn't see Yi Tian's shadow at all. He really came alone. He's here to die. He killed Feng Wanyun with his own hands. How could Feng Wanjian let him go so easily? There was an uproar at the scene. Qin Feiyang also finally saw the faces of Zhang Santian and Li Yuandao. Both of them looked dignified, but their expressions were very gloomy. But thinking about it, it made sense. Their younger brother was killed, and their grandfather and father were also demoted to the position of city lord and elder. How could they be in a good mood? What are you doing here? Zhao Xiaojin came back to her senses and secretly glared at Qin Feiyang. If I don't come, how can you get away? Qin Feiyang transmitted his voice. Hearing this, Zhao Xiaojin's heart was quite warm, and she felt a lot more at ease. She secretly said, "Where's brother Yi Tian? He should be in seclusion." Qin Feiyang said. He's already in seclusion? He's really diligent. Zhao Xiaojin's eyes were full of admiration. Nymphomaniac. Qin Feiyang rolled his eyes. You're the nymphomaniac. Zhao Xiaojin snorted in dissatisfaction and transmitted his voice, "Do you know who they are?" "I know." Qin Feiyang nodded. "They are not people that Zhang Sanbao and Feng Wanyun can compare to. Be careful." Zhao Xiaojin reminded. So what? Qin Feiyang smiled faintly. Ugh. Zhao Xiaojin was stunned. He smiled bitterly and said, "It doesn't seem like much to you." What a joke. This was the famous Qin Feiyang. Even the 10th elder had fallen into his hands, let alone Zhang Santian and Feng Wanjian. Perhaps in Qin Feiyang's eyes, these two people were just two clowns. Qin Feiyang smiled as he looked at Zhang Santian and Zhang Santian. He chuckled and said, "Little Jean, introduce us." "Don't you know?" Zhao Xiaojin was furious. "Just do as I say." Qin Feiyang transmitted his voice. Zhao Xiaojin puckered his lips and pointed at them. One of them is called Zhang Santian, Zhang Sanbao's older brother. The other is Feng Wanjian, Feng Wanyun's older brother. So, it's the two of you. Qin Feiyang immediately gazed at them with surprise and smiled, "I'm really sorry. I accidentally killed your younger brother that day." Zhang Santian and Feng Wanjian instantly clenched their fists when they heard this. The spectators exchanged glances as well. The moment he arrived, he touched the sore spot of Zhang Santian and Zhang Santian. He really didn't give them any face. But in comparison, Zhang Santian, you're much luckier. Qin Feiyang gazed at Zhang Santian and smiled, "Even though your father has been stripped of his position as city governor, at least he didn't kneel on the central square of the city like Feng Wanjian's grandfather did and be despised by everyone." Feng Wanjian's face grew even gloomier. "Feng Wanjian, have you gone to see your grandfather?" "Probably not, but I saw it with my own two eyes. He was so pitiful. Not only did he have to kneel on the ground, he even had to face being beaten and cursed by everyone. The dignified 10th elder of our independent cultivator alliance actually fell to such a state. To be honest, even I can't bear it." Qin Feiyang chuckled. Feng Wanjian's face had warped, and he seemed to have reached his limit. Zhao Xiaojin sent a voice transmission, "What are you doing? Are you intentionally provoking them?" "Of course." Qin Feiyang smiled. "Aren't you just looking for trouble?" Zhao Xiaojin frowned. "Wrong, this is called cutting the weeds and pulling up the roots." Qin Feiyang smiled coldly. Cutting the weeds and pulling up the roots. Zhao Xiaojin's heart shook. Is he intending to kill them? What a terrifying fellow. Qin Feiyang continued gazing at Zhang Santian and Feng Wanjian, and he said with a puzzled expression, "What's the meaning of this? Haven't you taught them a lesson yet? You still intend to humiliate yourselves? How arrogant. I've really never seen such an arrogant person. He simply doesn't take Zhang Santian and Feng Wanjian seriously." The spectators were shocked. Compared to this person, their arrogance was really not worth mentioning. Feng Wanjian could no longer hold it in and roared, "I want to challenge you." Challenge? Qin Feiyang was startled, and laughed. "I remember that your brother also challenged Zhao Xiaojin and my brother Mo Wuhui, but in the end," at this point, Qin Feiyang's face suddenly revealed a trace of playfulness. Because the following words, needless to say, everyone understood. Feng Wanjian naturally understood as well, and said in a deep voice, "If you think of me as my brother, then you are gravely mistaken." "Is that so?" Qin Feiyang didn't believe it. "Cut the crap, just one word, do you dare to accept our challenge?" Zhang Santian roared. "I don't dare. Both of you have comprehended the third profound. I'm afraid I can't beat you." Qin Feiyang shook his head. "At least he has some self-awareness." Everyone muttered. However, suddenly, Qin Feiyang changed the topic and said with a smile, "If you must challenge me, I will reluctantly accept it." What? The people who were muttering before couldn't help but be dumbfounded. Accept? Reluctantly? This person must be stupid. "I know you are very talented and have comprehended the third profound of the law of thunder, but Zhang Santian and Zhang Santian are not bad either. The most important thing is that both of them are at the great perfection undead stage. A great perfection undead stage to challenge them one-on-one, I really don't know where he found the courage. Also, you can come together." Qin Feiyang spoke again. "What? 1 against 2? The shock in the hearts of the spectators at the back could no longer be described with words. Zhang Santian and Zhang Santian were also stunned. When they heard Qin Feiyang say that he didn't dare at first, they were quite proud. But they didn't expect that he would continue to talk nonsense. How was this not daring? It was obvious that he was teasing them, playing them like monkeys. "What are you doing?" Suddenly, an angry roar sounded. Everyone looked up and saw the old man in red rushing over angrily. "Greetings, elder." Everyone bowed to salute him. "Mo Yuan, Zhao Xiaojin, Zhang Santian, Feng Wanjian, answer me, what do you want to do?" The old man in red stared at the four of them, his face extremely ugly. They had caused such a big mess as soon as they came to the Hall of the Exalted. Did they still take him, the elder, seriously? "Elder, this is not our fault. It's Zhang Santian and Feng Wanjian. They stopped Zhao Xiaojin and didn't let him go." "Elder, what right do they have to do this?" Qin Feiyang said. "Zhang Santian, Feng Wanjian, is that so?" The old man in red looked at the two of them. Zhang Santian was a little frightened. But Feng Wanjian was not afraid at all and nodded. "Yes. You're making trouble." The old man in red said angrily. "Elder, I believe you know the grudge between me and them. This matter must be solved." Looking at the angry old man in red, Feng Wanjian was not moved at all. Although the 10th elder had fallen, with his own talent, he was enough to look down on the Hall of the Exalted. Besides, the 10th elder was being punished now, but he was not dead yet. Everyone would more or less give him some face. "Then how do you want to solve it?" The old man in red frowned. "I want to challenge them." Feng Wanjian pointed at Qin Feiyang and said word by word. Just like his name, there was a shocking sharpness in his words. The old man in red glanced at Feng Wanjian, then at Zhang Santian, and then at Qin Feiyang and said, you can refuse, and after you refuse, they won't dare to force you. Since they're courting death, why should we refuse? Qin Feiyang smiled slightly. Qin Feiyang's arrogance made the old man in red blow his beard and glare. Can't you see that I'm helping you? You really don't know how to appreciate favors. Arrogant, right? Good. Then I'll give you a chance to be arrogant. I'll let you see the power of the Hall of the Exalted. Okay. I'll allow you to enter the fighting arena, but remember, don't go too far. The old man in red said. No. We want to have a battle of life and death. Feng Wanjian said. That's right, either you die or I die. Zhang Santian nodded. The old man in red was so angry that he was trembling. Okay. I'll grant you your wish. Qin Feiyang chuckled. The old man in red was so angry that he laughed and nodded. Good, good, good. Since you want to die so much, I'll grant you your wish. Go to the fighting arena immediately. If you don't die in there today, don't come out. The elders have spoken. Let's go. Feng Wanjian looked coldly at Qin Feiyang and Zhao Xiaojin and said. Lead the way. I just came to the Hall of the Exalted. How would I know where the fighting arena is? Qin Feiyang said lightly. Humph. The two of them snorted coldly and soared into the sky, flying towards the duty hall. The fighting arena is in the Deacon Hall? When Qin Feiyang saw this, he couldn't help but be stunned. The fighting arena is an independent space. The entrance is in the Deacon Hall. Zhao Xiaojin said telepathically. I see. Qin Feiyang nodded and then flew to the Deacon Hall with Zhao Xiaojin. The other onlookers naturally wouldn't miss this good show and followed. Soon. Everyone appeared in the square of the Deacon Hall. Qin Feiyang scanned the square and didn't find any entrance. Are you really going to fight with them? Zhao Xiaojin asked telepathically. She was a little worried. Yes. I can use this opportunity to establish my power in the Hall of the Exalted so that people won't keep coming to find trouble. Qin Feiyang thought to himself. In fact, he wanted to use this opportunity to show the fourth profound of the Law of Thunder. One had to know. With his cultivation, once he showed the fourth profound in public, it would definitely cause a sensation. It would even attract the attention of the deputy chief. In this way, he could shorten the time to get close to the deputy chief. Chapter 3166. I'll ask you one last time. Do you really want to fight to the death? The old man in red frowned as he looked at Qin Feiyang and the other three. Almost every disciple of the Hall of the Exalted was an extraordinary talent. The death of any one of them would be a loss to the Rogue Cultivator Alliance. He did not want to see such a thing happen. However, if Qin Feiyang and the others insisted on fighting to the death, he could not stop them. Yes. Zhang Santian and Feng Wanjian nodded. We'll accompany you to the end. Qin Feiyang smiled slightly. Okay. The old man in red did not persuade them anymore. He walked to the center of the square and stomped his foot hard. The ground immediately cracked. Immediately after. Accompanied by a buzzing sound, a 3-meter-wide stone platform slowly rose up. Above the stone platform, a space-time crack was suspended. The entrance to the fighting arena is hidden underground? Qin Feiyang was stunned. This is to prevent the disciples of the Hall of the Exalted from entering the fighting arena without permission. Zhao Xiaojin explained through telepathy. I see. Qin Feiyang nodded in realization. Let's go. Zhang Santian and Feng Wanjian looked at Qin Feiyang and Zhao Xiaojin. You're my senior brothers. After you. Qin Feiyang smiled faintly. I'm afraid that after we enter, you'll run away. Zhang Santian sneered. I'm laughing. Qin Feiyang laughed. He pulled Zhao Xiaojin and stepped into the space-time crack. Zhang Santian and Feng Wanjian looked at each other. Their eyes suddenly flashed with a sinister smile as they entered the space-time crack one after another. The old man in red frowned and followed them in. Needless to say, those who were watching the show swarmed after the old man in red entered, fearing that they would be left behind. The sky was dark, the earth was broken, and the void was left with a tragic aura. This was the fighting arena of the Hall of the Exalted. It was boundless as far as the eye could see, but there was not a single blade of grass. It was like a land of death. On the west side of the fighting arena, there was a 5-meter-tall and 3-meter-wide stone platform. There was also a space-time crack suspended on it. Whoosh! Qin Feiyang and Zhao Xiaojin walked out of the space-time crack. Looking at the land in front of them, there was a trace of shock in their eyes. They did not expect the fighting arena to be so big. Zhang Santian, Feng Wanjian, the old man in red, and the disciples who were watching also came out of the space-time crack. However, as veterans, they were already extremely familiar with the fighting arena. Therefore, their gazes appeared very calm. Whoosh! Zhang Santian and Feng Wanjian looked at each other as they took a step forward and landed tens of thousands of miles away. Their auras burst out as they stared at Qin Feiyang and Feng Wanjian and shouted, "Come and accept your death. Don't be careless. That's why I'm here today." Qin Feiyang smiled, then stepped into the air and landed in front of Zhang Santian and Feng Wanjian. You really want to fight one against two? The old man in red raised his eyebrows. As an elder of the Hall of the Exalted, he was very clear about Zhang Santian and Feng Wanjian's strength. Not to mention the great achievement Eternal Realm, even the perfection Eternal Realm might not be their match. Wasn't this a little too careless? The other disciples were also stunned. At first, they all thought that this person was joking. They did not expect him to really do it. There must be something wrong with his brain. Otherwise, how could a normal person do such a stupid thing? After all, Zhao Xiaojin was also in the perfection Eternal Realm and had comprehended the third profound of the Law of Light. The two of them would have a higher chance of winning if they worked together. What was he thinking? Zhang Santian and Feng Wanjian did not say anything. Since Qin Feiyang wanted to die, they would fulfill his wish. Boom! Zhang Santian's body shook, and the power of the law roared out. He did not want to give Qin Feiyang a chance to struggle, so he directly activated the power of the law. And Zhang Santian mastered the law of earth. Clang! At the same time, Feng Wanjian waved his hand, and sword qi emerged, exuding a sharp aura that could destroy the world. Qin Feiyang was stunned, looking at the sword qi around Feng Wanjian. He could feel that it was also a kind of law, but he had never seen it before. The law of sword. Feng Wanjian sneered. The law of sword? Qin Feiyang was surprised. The sword also had the law of sword? Kill. But Feng Wanjian did not explain, and he immediately shouted. The law of sword and the law of earth suddenly turned into a torrent, rushing toward Qin Feiyang. How many more law of sword are there in this world that I don't know about? Qin Feiyang murmured. Purple divine lightning roared out, exuding a terrifying power of thunder, and blasted toward the two's law of sword. Boom! Accompanied by an earth-shattering sound, the purple divine lightning directly disintegrated. Qin Feiyang also spat out a mouthful of blood, and he was forced to retreat. Did you see that? This is the difference in cultivation. Even if he also mastered the law of sword, his cultivation is much weaker than Zhang Santian and Feng Wanjian. There is no suspense in this kind of battle. In the audience, a young man in black shook his head. That's right. For Mo Wuji, he might not even be a match for one of them, let alone two of them. Another woman in green nodded. I forgot that your cultivation is stronger than mine. Qin Feiyang stabilized his body, wiped the blood from the corner of his mouth, and looked at Zhang Santian and Feng Wanjian with a smile. You can still smile? Zhang Santian raised his eyebrows. Brother Zhang, don't worry. He won't be able to smile soon. Feng Wanjian smiled coldly. Sword qi emerged like a tide, condensing into a 3-inch-long sword. It looked very inconspicuous, but it exuded a monstrous sharpness. The first profound, sword heart. Feng Wanjian pointed to the sky, and the 3-inch-long sword immediately turned into a flash of light, charging toward Qin Feiyang. Qin Feiyang didn't take it head-on. He took a step forward and quickly dodged. However, the 3-inch-long sword's aura suddenly locked onto him, and it turned in the air, charging toward Qin Feiyang from behind. That's right. It was suddenly locked on. If it was locked on from the beginning, Qin Feiyang could still be on guard. But this sudden lock-on caught him completely off guard. The 3-inch-long sword directly pierced through his chest, leaving a bloody hole with blood gushing out. But it wasn't over yet. The 3-inch-long sword turned in the air again and continued to attack Qin Feiyang. And this time, it was Qin Feiyang's lower abdomen. Obviously, Feng Wanjian wanted to shatter Qin Feiyang's sea of qi in one fell swoop. As long as the sea of qi was shattered, it would be like meat on the chopping board, ready to be slaughtered. But how could Qin Feiyang suffer the same loss twice? The third profound, Fury of Thunder, was directly activated. Thunder dragons roared in all directions, charging toward the 3-inch-long sword. With a loud bang, the two were instantly destroyed in the void. Feng Wanjian's face turned slightly pale, and a trace of blood flowed from the corner of his mouth. At the same time, Qin Feiyang's body shook slightly, and he spat out another mouthful of blood. See? This is the difference in cultivation. Your third profundity of the laws of lightning is merely a match for my first profundity. Feng Wanjian looked at Qin Feiyang with contempt. Continue with your performance. Qin Feiyang wiped off the blood and smiled. Still pretending to be calm? The second profound, Sword Soul. Feng Wanjian sneered, and the law of sword roared out. A giant sword that was thousands of feet long appeared, and its terrifying sharpness tore through the world. Sword Soul? Qin Feiyang stared at the giant sword. Its sharpness was indeed stronger than the 3-inch-long sword. But where was the soul? Since it was called the Sword Soul, it must have a soul. Your strongest profound, the third profound, is merely a match for my first profound. And now, facing my second profound, what are you going to use to block it? Feng Wanjian laughed wildly. With a wave of his hand, the giant sword tore through the sky and slashed toward Qin Feiyang. Qin Feiyang waved his hand, and the fury of thunder appeared again. The thunder dragons fused together, turning into a giant dragon that was thousands of feet long. It shattered everything in all directions and pounced toward the giant sword. Boom! The two met in an instant, and the thunder dragon was shattered. Qin Feiyang spat out another mouthful of blood. But at this moment, a sword shadow suddenly swept out from the giant sword. This sword shadow was in an ethereal state, as if it was translucent. However, the sharpness it emitted was even more terrifying than the giant sword. This is the soul? Qin Feiyang was shocked. That's right. The second profound is the sword soul. One is ethereal and the other is real. The real is the sword, and the ethereal is the soul. The power of the soul is twice as strong as the sword. Go to hell. Feng Wanjian smiled ferociously. The sword shadow seemed to have crossed time and space, and instantly arrived in front of Qin Feiyang. Its sharpness tore through Qin Feiyang's skin, and his body was instantly covered in blood. At the critical moment, Qin Feiyang took a step forward and narrowly avoided it. The sword shadow's aura didn't lock onto Qin Feiyang, and it blasted toward the ground below. Accompanied by a loud bang, a bottomless abyss suddenly appeared on the ground below. Your reaction is quite fast. Feng Wanjian smiled in surprise and said, but let's see how you're going to dodge next. The third profound, sword domain. He raised his arm and pointed his index finger toward the sky. Waves of sword chi surged out like a tide. However, in an instant, a huge sword chi domain appeared and directly shrouded Qin Feiyang. Qin Feiyang, who was in the sword domain, suddenly felt a great sense of danger. The next moment, numerous 3-inch small swords appeared. They were densely packed, and there were tens of thousands of them. With a monstrous sharpness, they charged toward Qin Feiyang. Qin Feiyang was shocked. These 3-inch small swords that appeared out of thin air were actually the first profound of the sword law, sword heart. In other words, could this sword domain evolve into an endless heart of the sword? This was a little scary. Although sword heart was the first profound, there were too many of them. No matter how fast one's reaction was, it was impossible to dodge the attack of so many sword hearts. Are you afraid? Are you desperate? The power of the sword domain is far more than this. Because not only can it evolve into an endless sword heart, it can also evolve into an endless sword soul. Feng Wanjian laughed. What? It can even evolve the second profound sword soul? Qin Feiyang was shocked. This sword law was a little freakish. Chapter 3167. Trapped by the domain of swords, there's nothing you can do. This is the price of being arrogant. If he was willing to join forces with Zhao Xiaojin, why would he be in such a sorry state? Everyone shook their heads and sneered. Only Zhao Xiaojin was puzzled. She knew Qin Feiyang's strength and knew Qin Feiyang's identity. He shouldn't be so passive. But why was he so powerless now? What did he want to do? Kill. Feng Wanjian laughed. Thousands of 3-inch small swords charged at Qin Feiyang from all directions. Qin Feiyang's body surged with thunder as he summoned the thunder armor. But even the thunder armor couldn't stop the 3-inch small swords and shattered in an instant. Go to hell. Feng Wanjian laughed even more wildly. Zhang Santian, who was next to him, also had a mocking look on his face. I thought you were strong, but it turns out that you're just like this. It seems that I don't need to do anything. But then, Qin Feiyang lifted the corner of his mouth and said with a sneer, enough laughing. The two were stunned. If you're done laughing, then shut up. Qin Feiyang said. Seeing this, Zhao Xiaojin couldn't help but clench her fists. She couldn't help but look forward to it. Boom! Qin Feiyang's body shook, and he fully activated the Rising Dragon art. His cultivation instantly soared to the perfection imperishable realm. Although he had activated the Rising Dragon art more than once in the Eastern continent, this kind of divine art to raise cultivation didn't have any obvious characteristics. That was because the divine arts that increased cultivation were more or less the same. They weren't like the kill, battle, return, and other heaven-defying divine arts. They all had very obvious characteristics that would be seen through as soon as they were activated. So even if he activated the Rising Dragon art now, no one would be able to tell. What? Feng Wanjian and Zhao Xiaojin were stunned. He actually had a divine art to raise cultivation? And it was to raise 2 small realms at once? This is why he dares to fight 2 people at once? The surrounding disciples were also shocked. In the boundary of the imperishable realm, even the most ordinary divine art could be compared to a divine art that defied the natural order. Because in the imperishable realm, the gap between each realm was huge. Not to mention an increase of 2 minor realms, even if it was only an increase of 1 minor realm, the difference in strength would be like heaven and earth. Ding! As his cultivation base rose, Qin Feiyang once again activated his third profound skill, Thunder's Fury. The 10,000 feet long lightning dragon roared in all directions, and the 3-inch long sword that was previously ridiculously powerful instantly became extremely fragile, shattering into pieces one after another. So what if you have a divine technique to raise your cultivation? Feng Wanjian roared, and giant swords appeared in his sword domain, crazily attacking Qin Feiyang. Is it useful? Qin Feiyang smiled disdainfully. He didn't need to use too many tricks. As long as he had a lightning dragon, he would be able to sweep through everything. Sword heart and sword soul would be like dead wood. Bastard! Fuse! Feng Wanjian roared in exasperation. Then, the 3-inch long sword and the 10,000 feet long giant sword in the sword domain all fused together, becoming a 10,000 feet long giant sword that seemed to be made of gold, emitting a dazzling divine light. This was the true face of the sword domain. The sharpness of the 10,000 feet long giant sword was not inferior to that of the lightning dragon at all. The two carried an aura that could destroy the world and fiercely clashed together. Boom! The fighting arena was immediately flooded by a terrifying blast of air. The void collapsed and the ground sank, as if it was the end of the world. The red-clothed old man's pupils contracted slightly. He waved his hand and formed a ward to protect the disciples behind him. With a crack, the sword domain was also shattered under the impact of the blast of air. Feng Wanjian's body shook and he kept retreating. But Qin Feiyang stood in the void as steadily as Mount Tai. Because his body was strong and his cultivation was the same as Feng Wanjian's, he could forcibly dissolve the impact of the blast. After all this time, that's all you've got? Qin Feiyang looked at Feng Wanjian with disappointment in his eyes. He shook his head and said, "Looks like you're no different from your useless brother." Useless brother? Everyone was stunned. This was a blatant show of contempt. Feng Wanjian's face was ashen as he roared, "Zhang Santian, what are you still standing there for?" Zhang Santian was really shocked. When he heard Feng Wanjian's roar, he immediately came back to his senses and activated the law of earth. The seal of thick earth, the third profound meaning, instantly appeared. It was like a towering mountain with a monstrous aura as it charged toward Qin Feiyang. Qin Feiyang waved his hand, and the lightning dragon appeared again and blasted toward the seal of thick earth. Boom! The two of them kept colliding in the sky, and it was hard to tell who had the upper hand. Don't forget that there are two of us and only one of you. No matter how many tricks you have up your sleeve, only death awaits you today. Feng Wanjian roared, and the sword domain appeared again. It descended from the sky and charged toward Qin Feiyang. Facing the two great third profound meanings, the lightning dragon immediately wailed and shattered in the sky. Qin Feiyang was like a meteorite as he crashed into the ground again, blood gushing out of his body. "Go and die with our brother." The two of them laughed sinisterly. The shield of thick earth and the sword domain carried a shocking murderous aura as they blasted toward the ground below. With a boom, Qin Feiyang rushed out of the broken ground. He looked at the two profound theurgies and said indifferently, "That's it? What the hell? That's it? He still has that kind of attitude? That bastard. I can't help but want to beat him up. It's true that he's showing off, but can there be a limit?" The disciples who were watching the battle couldn't help but have a dark expression. He was clearly at a disadvantage, but he showed a disdainful attitude. This person was really hopeless. If that's it, then prepare a coffin, dig a hole, and bury yourselves. That way, I won't have to do anything. Qin Feiyang said indifferently, completely ignoring the two profound theurgies descending from the sky. Dig a hole and bury yourself? Everyone was speechless to the extreme. It seemed that showing off was addictive and uncontrollable. Not to mention the disciples, even the old man in red was speechless. Anyone with a discerning eye could see that Zhang Santian and Feng Wanjian had the upper hand, but they were still so arrogant. They really didn't know what to do. Zhang Santian and Feng Wanjian were also furious. Have you figured out the situation you're in? Did you have the right to be arrogant in such a situation? Yes, we're going to prepare a coffin, but it's for you. Zhang Santian sneered. You're so confident that you can kill me? Sigh, you're still too young. Before you die, I'll give you a word of advice. There's always someone better than you. Remember to be discerning in your next life. Don't provoke anyone. Qin Feiyang shook his head. Bastard, I can't take it anymore. I'm going to beat him up. I'm going to beat him up until even his mother can't recognize him. I'm known as the Act Tough King in the Hall of the Exalted, but I'm not as arrogant as him. A strong man in black was so angry that he went crazy and rushed toward the battlefield. Calm down, calm down. The two companions beside him quickly grabbed him and comforted him. In the blink of an eye. The Shield of Earth and the Sword Realm, the two Ultimacy Theurgies, finally arrived. Don't be polite. Kill this pretentious bastard. Someone shouted. Pretentious? Qin Feiyang smiled and said proudly, open your eyes and watch carefully. What is a real genius? In the name of Mo Yuan, I summon the 9 heavens divine thunder. Boom! Crack! At that moment, above the sky, thunder roared loudly and a fierce wind suddenly rose. Purple tribulation clouds rolled in from afar and instantly covered the entire sky. What's this? Everyone suddenly looked up at the sky in surprise. Is this? The old man in red was also surprised. Crack! The next moment, 2 purple heavenly thunders fell from the sky. The aura firmly locked onto the 2 Ultimacy Theurgies, the Shield of Earth and the Sword Realm. With a loud bang, the 2 Ultimacy Theurgies were shattered on the spot under the incredulous gaze of the old man in red and the others. How is this possible? The brawny man in black who called himself the Act Tough King suddenly opened his eyes wide. The others were not much better. Their eyes were wide open in anger and disbelief. 2 Ultimacies were shattered in an instant. What the hell is this? Could it be? Everyone looked up at the sky again. They looked at the rolling lightning energy and the rolling tribulation clouds. Could this be the heavenly tribulation? This guy can summon a heavenly tribulation? Impossible, absolutely impossible. What kind of existence was the heavenly tribulation? How could it be summoned by humans? This is a heavenly tribulation. The old man in red said, his eyes full of shock. What? It's really a heavenly tribulation? Everyone was dazed. To be exact, this is the 4th ultimacy of the law of thunder, the 9 heavens divine thunder. And its power is no different from a heavenly tribulation. This kid has already comprehended the 4th ultimacy. The old man in red looked back at Qin Feiyang, who was standing in the center of the battlefield, his eyes full of passion. Since the establishment of the Independent Cultivators Alliance, no one had ever comprehended the 4th ultimacy at the greater eternal stage. No. There had never been such a person in the entire Eastern continent. A genius, he was not boasting. With such comprehension and potential, it was not an exaggeration to call him a genius. It can't be. The 4th ultimacy, the 9 heavens divine thunder? Hearing the old man in red's words, not only the onlooking disciples, but even Feng Wanjian and Zhang Santian were shocked. They did not expect this person to have already comprehended the 4th ultimacy. No wonder he was so confident. No wonder he was so disdainful. Comprehending the 4th ultimacy at the greater eternal stage, the first person in history. If they were in his shoes, they would be even more arrogant. Terrifying. Qin Feiyang looked up at Zhang Santian and Feng Wanjian and said, I heard that both of you have comprehended 2 types of law powers. Continue your performance. Their eyes trembled. They had indeed comprehended 2 types of law powers, but they had only just comprehended the other one. They had not even comprehended the first ultimacy. What was the use of showing it? They regretted it. If they had known this person was so terrifying, they would not have come looking for trouble. Wasn't this digging their own graves? Chapter 3168. At the same time, he was resentful of Qin Feiyang. He obviously had such strong strength, but he didn't say anything. Wasn't he deliberately pretending to be a pig to eat the tiger? What? I'm giving you a chance to perform, and you're still not happy? Looking at the silent Feng Wanjian and Zhang Santian, Qin Feiyang's eyes were full of playfulness. The 2 of them immediately felt a great sense of humiliation. Kill! Suddenly, Feng Wanjian roared, and with a wave of his hand, a 3-meter-long spear appeared. The long spear was dark, and it was suffused with a cold light. Heaven-defying artifact? Qin Feiyang was stunned. Yes, this is my heaven-defying artifact, the Sky Demon Spear, and it's a peak-level heaven-defying artifact. Feng Wanjian smiled coldly, and the Sky Demon Spear instantly recovered. The terrifying divine power shattered in all directions. He grabbed the Sky Demon Spear and angrily charged at Qin Feiyang. Zhang Santian didn't move. He also had a heaven-defying artifact, but it couldn't compare to Feng Wanjian's. Because of their different statuses. Feng Wanjian was the grandson of the 10th elder. And Zhang Santian's father, although he used to be the city lord of East City, compared to the 10th elder, the difference in status was too great. Therefore, Zhang Santian's father couldn't give him a high-level heaven-defying artifact. And his power of law was now completely not Qin Feiyang's opponent, so for the time being, he could only watch from the sidelines. A peak-level heaven-defying artifact, Qin Feiyang looked at Feng Wanjian, grinned, and asked, Is it very powerful? This time, no one said that he was pretending. Compared to a person who had mastered the 4th profound and was only at the great achievement Immortal Realm, a peak-level heaven-defying artifact was indeed a lot dimmer. Powerful or not, you can experience it. Feng Wanjian grinned, and rushed forward like lightning. He swept out his spear, wanting to cut Qin Feiyang in half. But at the same time, Qin Feiyang waved his hand, and a stick appeared in his hand, and then he faced the Sky Demon Spear. Clang! The 2 artifacts collided, and dazzling sparks immediately. This is... Feng Wanjian was shocked. You're not the only one who has a peak-grade heaven-defying divine artifact. A cold glint flashed in Qin Feiyang's eyes. A terrifying power surged out from his arm and sent Feng Wanjian flying. That was right. The staff in his hand was none other than the 7 Stars Staff. Just like the Golden Scale Sword and the Sunset Divine Bow, the 7 Star Staff had long since evolved into a peak-grade heaven-defying divine artifact. Moreover, they had already begun to break through to the legendary grade. Therefore, in comparison, the power of the 7 Star Staff was above that of other heaven-defying divine artifacts of the same level. As for the Golden Scale Sword, he definitely did not dare to take it out now because he had used it before. Once he took it out, his identity would definitely be exposed. Impossible. You've only been in the Alliance for a few hundred years. How could you have a peak-level heaven-defying divine artifact? Feng Wanjian was in disbelief. I told you that you're stupid, but you won't admit it. Could it be that only the Alliance capital has a heaven-defying artifact? But there's one thing that you can't compare to me. Because I obtained this divine artifact with my own strength. As for your Sky Demon Spear, I think it should be given to you by your grandfather. Qin Feiyang chuckled. Feng Wanjian gripped the sky demon spear tightly. These words were obviously meant to humiliate him. Come on, continue your performance. Qin Feiyang smiled. Feng Wanjian did not make another move. His strongest trump card was the power of law and the sky demon spear. But now, facing Qin Feiyang, he had no advantage at all. If they continued to fight, it would be impossible for him to win. If you're not going to perform, then I'll start. Qin Feiyang said. Feng Wanjian frowned. What is he going to perform? The disciples watching the battle had a suspicious look on their faces. The old man in red was looking forward to it. Could it be that this kid still had other tricks up his sleeve? It's starting, don't be too surprised. The corner of Qin Feiyang's mouth lifted. Boom! A blood-colored wave rolled out, and a blood-colored barrier instantly appeared out of nowhere, enveloping Feng Wanjian and Zhang Santian. This is... Both of them were dumbfounded. This is the third profound of the law of slaughter, killing intent domain. The old man in red exclaimed. What the hell? The fourth profound of the law of thunder and the third profound of the law of slaughter? Can it be any more abnormal? The audience was in an uproar. Zhao Xiaojin also had a look of shock. What she knew was the law of thunder and the law of war. She did not expect Qin Feiyang to have mastered the law of slaughter and even comprehended the third profound. Boom! Qin Feiyang's body shook, and a terrifying battle intent suddenly roared in all directions. This is... The old man in red's eyes widened again. This seems to be the law of war. Someone exclaimed. Oh my God, he actually mastered 3 types of law force. The sage really doesn't show his true colors. Even young Master Yi Tian only mastered 2 types of law force, but he actually mastered 3 types of law force. And among young Master Yi Tian's law force, the law of earth is only the 3rd profound, and the law of fire is only the 2nd profound. But this guy, one has the 4th profound, and the other has the 3rd profound. His talent and comprehension are better than young Master Yi Tian's. Everyone was dumbfounded. This was too shocking. Was he still human? Boom! However, the show was not over yet. Another law force roared out from Qin Feiyang's body. The law of light. Zhao Xiaojin exclaimed. That's right. Qin Feiyang had activated the law of light this time, but he did not activate the law of war or the law of light. Even so, it was still shocking enough. A greater achievement Undead Stage actually mastered 4 types of law force. Not to mention the Eastern continent, even in the entire Sky Cloud realm, there had never been such a monster. Everyone was trembling. Including Feng Wanjian and Zhang Santian. What kind of monster was this? As for the old man in red, the light in his eyes became more and more scorching. Such a talent, which had never been seen before, actually appeared in their Rogue Cultivator Alliance. Was this a sign that the Rogue Cultivator Alliance was going to rise? Boom! Just as the old man in red was excited, Qin Feiyang's body shook, and another law force appeared. The law of force. Crazy, really crazy. Is this a dream? He actually has 5 types of law force? No, my little heart can't take it anymore. Kill me. It's definitely not real. How can a greater achievement Undead Stage comprehend 5 types of law force? The disciples present went completely crazy. What kind of person was this? 5 types of law force, how could they, who had always boasted of being a monster, live in the future? Woo-woo, however, at this moment, the sound of wind came again. It was not loud, but it clearly fell on everyone's ears. This is the law of wind. The old man in red roared, completely disregarding his image. This was the first time in his life that he had lost his composure like this. 6 types of law force. If he did not see it with his own eyes, he would not believe it even if he was beaten to death. Zhao Xiaojin was also completely dumbfounded. After being together for so long, this was the first time she had seen the most terrifying side of Qin Feiyang. 6 types of law force, who in the world could compare with him? Recalling the scene when she was complacent in front of Qin Feiyang, she could not help but want to slap herself. What was her little bit of talent? The other party was just keeping a low profile and did not want to expose it. Looking at Feng Wanjian and Zhang Santian, they were already scared stiff. 6 types of law force, this was equivalent to already having the capital to step into the sovereign realm. They actually provoked such a monster, it was too late to regret it in their hearts. Was such a person someone they could offend? My little bit of talent should still be able to enter your eyes, right? Qin Feiyang looked at the two of them and laughed. He did not expose the law of cause and effect. Because the law of cause and effect, together with the law of time, law of life, law of death, law of nothingness, and so on, were the strongest law force in the world, so he had to hold back. However, just the exposure of these 6 types of law force was enough to cause a sensation in the Rogue Cultivator Alliance. This was the effect he wanted. Originally, he only planned to expose the 4th profundity of the Law of Thunder. But looking at the red-clothed old man's expression, although he was a little surprised, he was not too shocked, so he simply revealed the other types of law force. As expected. Even the red-clothed old man was not calm. As expected, once this matter spread to the ears of a group of higher-ups in the Rogue Cultivator Alliance, they would definitely come looking for him personally. At this moment, Feng Wanjian and Zhang Santian were scared silly. How could they still listen? The performance is over, then it's time to send you to hell to reunite with Zhang Sanbao and Feng Wanyun. Qin Feiyang waved his hand, and the divine lightning in the sky suddenly poured down like a waterfall. At the same time, the law force around Qin Feiyang also turned into a torrent and rushed towards the two of them. That terrifying aura immediately woke the two of them up. Elder, please, save us. The two of them hurriedly looked at the red-clothed old man and shouted. But the red-clothed old man turned a deaf ear. Save? Stop joking. Although they both have family backgrounds, how could they compare with Mo Yuanfang? Besides, if you agree to bet, you must accept defeat. It was you who insisted on challenging Mo Yuanfang and insisted on a life-and-death duel. Who can you blame? You can only blame yourselves for not having eyes. He would definitely not interfere in this matter. Because once he interfered, it would definitely cause Qin Feiyang to be dissatisfied, and he might lose this rare genius. If Qin Feiyang really had a rebellious heart because of him and left the Rogue Cultivator Alliance, he could not bear the responsibility. Even his own brother, the Hall of the Exalted Lord, would not easily forgive him. As for those disciples who were watching the battle, it was needless to say. At this time, who would dare to help? Mo Yuanfang would definitely become the darling of the Rogue Cultivator Alliance. Going against him was courting death. Mo Yuanfang, we were wrong, let us go. We are willing to be your slaves. Asking the red-clothed old man for help was fruitless. Feng Wanjian and Zhang Santian looked at Qin Feiyang again and decisively knelt on the ground and begged. They were really scared. They did not even have the courage to fight to the death. Only despair and fear were left in their hearts. Do you think I am such a merciful person? Qin Feiyang chuckled. Please, I beg you, give us a way out, don't force us, okay? The two cried out. Don't force you? You say it as if I was the one who started it first. Qin Feiyang was a little helpless. Crack. Boom. The divine thunder and the power of law had arrived. Feng Wanjian and Zhang Santian looked at each other, and a trace of madness crept into their eyes. They roared, we will die together with you. Boom. The next moment, the two self-destructed on the spot. What? The red-clothed old man's expression suddenly changed. He immediately took a step forward and stood in front of Qin Feiyang in an instant. A surge of divine power rolled out and formed a 10-foot-wide boundary, protecting Qin Feiyang. As for Zhao Xiaojin and the disciples who were watching, the red-clothed old man had already set up a boundary when Qin Feiyang and Feng Wanjian were fighting, so there was no need to worry about their safety. Chapter 3169. The power of a peak imperishable realm expert self-destruction was terrifying. The entire fighting arena was caught in the crossfire. So close. Looking at Qin Feiyang, who was safe and sound behind him, the old man in red couldn't help but heave a sigh of relief. Everything else didn't matter, as long as this kid was fine. In the distance, Zhao Xiaojin and the others were also sweating cold sweat. They didn't expect that Feng Wanjian and his companion would choose to self-destruct without hesitation. Fortunately, there was an elder here, otherwise everyone would have to be buried together with them. Following closely, everyone looked at Qin Feiyang, their eyes no longer filled with disdain, but with awe. 6 types of law power, this was equivalent to obtaining a pass to step into the peak dominator realm. Perhaps from now on, this person would become the #1 person in the Hall of Fame. The #1 monster was no longer Yi Tian. Terrifying. What kind of monster was this? Great accomplishment. Imperishable realm actually comprehended 6 types of law. What was even more outrageous was that the law of thunder had already comprehended the 4th profound, and the law of slaughter had already comprehended the 3rd profound. To think that they usually boasted of being geniuses, compared to this person, they couldn't even be considered idiots. The old man in red waved his hand, and the aura of Feng Wanjian and his companion's self-destruction quickly calmed down. You weren't scared, right? He turned to look at Qin Feiyang and asked. His attitude was no longer as cold as before, and even had a hint of flattery. Not bad. Qin Feiyang smiled slightly. The old man in red sized up Qin Feiyang with a strange expression. Not bad? Looking at his calm expression, it was as if he hadn't self-destructed. Not only was his talent outstanding, even his temperament was so astonishing. If this kid didn't die prematurely, he would definitely have amazing achievements in the future. Qin Feiyang didn't say anything more on this issue and scanned the fighting arena. He was looking for the Sky Demon Spear. The Sky Demon Spear was a peak-level heaven-defying divine artifact. The self-destruction of the two couldn't damage it. Soon, his eyes lit up as he found the Sky Demon Spear in a pit not far away. Immediately, he took a step forward and landed beside the pit. With a wave of his hand, the Sky Demon Spear landed in his hand. The Sky Demon Spear struggled to leave. Qin Feiyang's eyes turned cold as he shouted, "If you don't want your soul to be destroyed, then behave yourself." The Tianma Spear trembled slightly and stopped struggling. "There will be benefits for you if you follow me," Qin Feiyang said in a low voice. He dripped his blood on the spear to claim ownership and sent it to the Black Tortoise world. Following closely, he scanned the arena again. Zhang Santian should also have a heaven-defying divine artifact. As expected. Soon, he found another black saber nearby. Qin Feiyang stepped forward and grabbed the black saber. After examining it for a while, he nodded and said with a smile, "Not bad, a mid-level heaven-defying divine artifact." Perhaps in the eyes of people like Yi Tian, a mid-level heaven-defying divine artifact was nothing, but to Qin Feiyang, even a low-level heaven-defying divine artifact was of great value. Because he had the Black Tortoise realm. Even if it was a low-grade heaven-defying divine artifact, when it entered the Black Tortoise world's origin land, it could be upgraded to a peak-grade heaven-defying divine artifact. Similarly, he also had an ambition. That was, every person in the Devil's Land was equipped with a supreme-grade heaven-defying divine artifact. For example, the 54 war generals. Their strength was not weak to begin with. If they were equipped with a heaven-defying divine artifact, it would undoubtedly be like adding wings to a tiger. Moreover, the supreme-grade heaven-defying divine artifact was the strongest divine artifact under the sovereign divine weapon. If in the future, everyone had a supreme-grade divine artifact, coupled with the ancient castle and his slaughter domain, who would be their opponent in the entire sky cloud realm? They could walk sideways. So, no matter what level of heaven-defying divine artifact it was, as long as there was a chance to get it, he would take it all. To this, the red-clothed old man had no objections. After all, Feng Wanjian and Yi Tian were defeated by this person. Naturally, their heaven-defying divine artifact should belong to this person. Qin Feiyang put away the 7-star rod and turned to walk in front of the red-clothed old man. He cupped his hands and said, "I'm sorry to have caused you so much trouble." "It's fine, it's fine." The red-clothed old man waved his hand and smiled. "Then let's go out." "Okay." Qin Feiyang nodded. The two immediately turned and flew towards the spacetime crack. The crowd gathered around the spacetime crack hurriedly retreated to the side. It seemed that even Zhao Xiaojin did not dare to get close to the two. "What are you doing? Let's go." Qin Feiyang walked to the front of the high platform and turned to look at Zhao Xiaojin. "Okay." Zhao Xiaojin quickly nodded and ran forward. Immediately, the two followed behind the red-clothed old man and left the fighting arena. When they returned to the square of the Deacon Hall, the red-clothed old man smiled and said, "Go back quickly. This old man has high hopes for you. Work hard." "Yes." The two respectfully responded and turned to leave. "Evildoer, evildoer. No, this matter must be told to Big Brother and Deputy Chief as soon as possible and protect this child as soon as possible. Otherwise, once the people of the Devil Palace know, they will definitely send someone to kill him." The red-clothed old man muttered and flew away like lightning. The other disciples also quickly returned from the fighting arena. Immediately, the news that Qin Feiyang had mastered 6 types of law power and forced Feng Wanjian and Yi Tian to self-destruct spread wildly in the Hall of the Exalted. "No way. Mo Yuan has mastered 6 types of law power? Are you kidding me? What is his cultivation level? How can he comprehend so many types of law power? If he really has mastered 6 types of law power, I will chop off my head and let you sit on it. He really doesn't know how to brag." Everyone's first reaction was to not believe it because it was too unbelievable. A great achievement, undead stage comprehending 6 types of law power? He was simply talking in his sleep. But when they received confirmation, their hearts were filled with shock. At the same time, in the assembly hall of the Rogue Cultivator Alliance. This was the sacred place of the Rogue Cultivator Alliance. Only those above the elder level were qualified to enter. At this moment, the deputy chief, the white-robed old man, and the 9 elders gathered together. The white-robed old man looked at the red-clothed old man standing in the middle and asked suspiciously, "Qi Yan, what's the matter? Why did you call us all here?" Qi Yan was the name of the red-clothed old man. "Big brother, something big happened." Qi Yan's face was full of excitement. "Something big?" The big shots looked at each other and looked at him with a puzzled face. "Big brother, deputy chief, elders, do you know what kind of genius appeared in our Rogue Cultivator Alliance?" The more Qi Yan spoke, the more excited he became. He was almost incoherent. Genius? The big shots were stunned. They naturally knew about the geniuses of the Rogue Cultivator Alliance. Was there a need to be so excited? It's different this time. Have you seen a great achievement undead stage comprehending 6 types of law power? Qi Yan said. Great achievement undead stage. 6 types of law power. Qi Yan, you're not dreaming, right? One of the elders shook his head and laughed. Qi Yan did not answer. He just quietly watched the reaction of the big shots. Sure enough. No one present believed it. Even his big brother, the Hall of Famers, only took it as a joke. No. This is not a dream. This is real, I saw it with my own eyes. Qi Yan said word by word as if he had been injected with chicken blood. What? Saw it with your own eyes? Immediately. The big shots were shocked and hurriedly asked, who is it? Why don't we know? It's so close. Qi Yan smiled mysteriously. The big shots were stunned. The deputy leader looked at Qi Yan and said, you're not talking about yourself, are you? Qi Yan looked at the deputy leader in shock and said with a wry smile, my lord, I'm not a great achievement undead stage, how could I be talking about myself? The deputy leader smiled awkwardly, then said with a dark face, don't be mysterious, tell me, who is it? He's in our Hall of Fame. And he just entered the Hall of Fame. Qi Yan said. In our Hall of Fame? And he just came in? The big shots looked at each other. The deputy leader asked, are you talking about Zhao Xiaojin? No. Zhao Xiaojin comprehended the third profound of the law of light at such a young age. His talent is outstanding, but compared to this person, it's not worth mentioning. Qi Yan shook his head. It's not Zhao Xiaojin, the deputy leader murmured, then frowned and asked, you mean Mo Yuanyuan? Because only Zhao Xiaojin and Mo Yuanyuan had just entered the Hall of Fame. That's right. It's him. Qi Yan nodded. Impossible. The deputy leader shook his head and said, I heard from Elder Ing in the East City that although Mo Yuanyuan is talented, he only mastered the law of thunder and the law of war. These are all things we knew before, but there are still many things we don't know about him. Moreover, even in the past, he didn't reveal his true strength. Because he has already comprehended the fourth profound of the law of thunder. Qi Yan said. What? The fourth profound. The big shots were shocked. To comprehend the fourth profound of the law of thunder at the greater imperishable stage, this kind of comprehension was too terrifying. The 6 types of law powers he has mastered are the law of thunder, the law of war, the law of light, the law of wind, the law of force, and the law of massacre. Among them, the law of thunder has comprehended the fourth profound. The law of massacre has comprehended the third profound. The law of war is needless to say, right? Before the assessment, he had already shown it to Elder Ing. It's the second profound. Think about it, in the sky cloud realm, how many people have achieved such an achievement at the greater imperishable stage? If this isn't a monster, then what is? Qi Yan was extremely excited. Are you sure? The white-robed old man asked. Of course I'm sure. Just a while ago, Feng Wanjian and Zhang Santian challenged him. I saw them enter the arena with my own eyes. Not only me, but many disciples also saw it with their own eyes. It must have spread in the Hall of Fame by now. Qi Yan said. Feng Wanjian and Zhang Santian, they really can't stop. The white-robed old man frowned. Although they were both at the great perfection imperishable stage and had comprehended the third profound, they were forced to self-destruct by Mo Wuji in the arena just now. Qi Yan said. Self-destruct? The white-robed old man was stunned. Yes. They have already self-destructed and died. Qi Yan nodded. Such a big matter, why didn't you stop them? There was a trace of anger in the white-robed old man's eyes. My dear brother, I also wanted to stop them, but this was a life-and-death duel they proposed. Let's talk about it later. If I had stepped in at that time, it would have definitely aroused Mo Wuji's dissatisfaction. Earlier, the matter of Zhao Xiaojin's parents should have made them very disappointed in our rogue cultivator alliance. If I had stepped in and made Mo Wuji completely disappointed in our rogue cultivator alliance, what would we do if he took Zhao Xiaojin and left the rogue cultivator alliance? If such a peerless genius really left the rogue cultivator alliance, it would be our loss. Qi Yan sighed. You did the right thing. Compared to Mo Wuji, Feng Wanjian and Zhang Santian are worthless. The vice leader nodded. Chapter 3170. After all, Feng Wanjian is the eldest grandson of the 10th elder. One of the elders said. The 10th elder? Have you forgotten that he has been dethroned from his position as an elder? He's just an ordinary member now. The deputy leader glanced at the elder. The elder's expression froze and he shook his head without saying anything. The deputy leader looked at the white-robed elder and smiled. Mo Yuanyuan is a true monster. Do you think we should treat him this way? This person, I want to take him as my last disciple. The white-robed elder said with a smile. Shameless. The deputy leader cursed in his heart. But he might not agree. The white-robed elder glanced at the deputy leader and said unhappily, You old thing, can you stop beating around the bush? Okay. Then we'll compete fairly. The deputy leader nodded. Let's compete. Who's afraid of who? The white-robed elder snorted. Qi Yan and the other elders looked at the two of them. Obviously, both of them wanted to take him in as a disciple. Who wouldn't be tempted by such a genius? You too, we can take our time to take him in as a disciple, but we must protect him first. Qi Yan said. That's right. Pass down my order immediately. The entire hall of the exalted and all disciples are not allowed to leak Mo Yuanyuan's matter. Those who violate this order will have their entire family wiped out. The deputy leader shouted. Yes. Qi Yan nodded. The deputy leader asked, also, who is he living with now? With your grandson, Yi Tian. Qi Yan smiled. So he's living in Sky Peak? Tian has never allowed anyone to enter Sky Peak. Now that he's living there, it seems that they have a good relationship. The Vice Alliance leader chuckled. Just because they have a good relationship doesn't mean that you can enjoy the benefits of a favorable position. The white-robed elder said faintly. Let's wait and see then. The deputy leader smiled provocatively and looked at Qi Yan. Since he's living in Sky Peak, we don't have to worry about his safety. But just in case, you have to be more careful in the future. Understood. You want me to protect him secretly? Qi Yan nodded. The deputy leader smiled. Yes, we must let him grow up smoothly. It might not be a good thing if things go too smoothly. There's an old saying that the flowers in the greenhouse are only pretty, but they can't withstand the ravages of wind and frost. The white-robed old man said indifferently. That can't be generalized. Mo Yuan grew up in the outside world. For him to be able to cultivate to the large success imperishable realm and comprehend so many laws, could it be that he relied on luck? Don't underestimate young people nowadays. They are stronger and more independent than you think. The vice leader said. This old man is just reminding you. You don't have to take it to heart. The white-robed old man said. You guys chat first. I'll go back and issue a gag order. Qi Yan helplessly looked at the two people who were at each other's throats, then turned around and left the hall. The 9 elders were also very tactful. They stood up and left one after another. In fact, they also had the intention of taking in disciples. In terms of strength and status, they were also the pinnacle of the Eastern continent. However, in the face of the Vice Alliance leader and the Hall of Famers, these two super powerhouses, they paled in comparison. It was best not to get involved in this excitement, so as to avoid making things worse and offending these two people, and the gains would not make up for the losses. Seeing everyone leave, the white-robed old man said with a smile, "Old man Yi, they're all gone. Let's have a peaceful discussion." "Sure." The vice leader nodded. "Look, you already have Yi Tian. If you can nurture Yi Tian, it will be a great contribution to our Rogue Cultivator Alliance. Why do you still want to snatch Mo Yuan from this old man? When the time comes, you will have to nurture both Yi Tian and Mo Yuan. How will you have time to manage the other affairs of the Rogue Cultivator Alliance? So, leave the task of nurturing Mo Yuan to this old man. You're already a pile of old bones. Don't always work so hard. Just looking at you makes my heart ache." The white-robed old man said with a smile. It sounded like he was affectionate and righteous. "Then, shouldn't I thank you?" The vice leader was a little dumbfounded. "There's no need to thank me. After all, we're nurturing talents for the Rogue Cultivator Alliance." The white-robed old man chuckled. "Get lost." The vice leader's face darkened. He snorted coldly and said, "I really didn't realize that you were so kind. Besides, I'm afraid that you'll mislead others." "I'll mislead others?" "Old man Yi, you have to make yourself clear. How am I misleading others?" The white-robed old man turned hostile on the spot. "What kind of disciple can you teach with your personality that only knows how to hide all day long? I'm really worried that if I hand Mo Yuan to you, he will become like you." The vice leader sneered. "So, there's no room for discussion?" The white-robed old man frowned. "Yes. There's no room for discussion." The vice leader nodded. "Fine, let's wait and see." The white-robed old man suddenly stood up. He glared at the vice leader and turned to leave. "Let's wait and see. Do you think I'm afraid of you?" The vice leader's face was full of disdain. Then, his eyes flickered. With such amazing talent, if Tian could get his support, then wouldn't Tian naturally succeed the position of the next leader in the future? Wait a minute. Would he support Tian Would he have the same ambition as himself? Don't wait until he becomes Tian's opponent in the future. No. This matter has to be confirmed first. Otherwise, it will be a potential threat to Tian The vice leader muttered and immediately got up to leave the meeting hall. The Hall of the Exalted. All disciples of the Hall of the Exalted, listen up. The vice leader has personally ordered that no information about Mo Yuan is leaked to the outside world. Those who violate the order will have their entire family annihilated. Qi Yan's voice rang above the Hall of the Exalted, clearly reaching every disciple. Annihilation of the entire family. This is the strictest blockade order in the history of our Rogue Cultivator Alliance. You can see how important Mo Yuan is to the higher-ups. The hundreds of thousands of disciples were in awe. A few bold disciples looked at Qi Yan and asked, "Elder, what about our family members? Can't we tell them?" "That's right. Even the people in the Alliance capital have to be kept a secret. All in all, only the Hall of the Exalted and the higher-ups know about this. Don't take any chances. The vice leader is serious this time. If this is leaked, even the descendants of the elders can't escape death." Qi Yan warned seriously. Understood. Everyone nodded. Heavenly Peak. Qin Feiyang and Zhao Xiaojin had also heard Qi Yan's voice. All of this was not beyond Qin Feiyang's expectations. Because if it were him, he would have done the same. After all, there was still the Devil Hall eyeing him covetously. Wait a minute. The Devil Hall, did Elder Hua and the others know that he was Mo Yuan? Zhao Xiaojin retracted his gaze and looked at Qin Feiyang, who was deep in thought. He pursed his lips and said, "You're now the most popular person in our Rogue Cultivator Alliance. Most popular person? Qin Feiyang was stunned. When he came back to his senses, he smiled and said, "Isn't this to get close to the vice leader?" "So, if it wasn't to get close to the vice leader, you would continue to hide the power of law?" Zhao Xiaojin asked secretly. "Of course. I'm a low-key person." Qin Feiyang nodded. "Low-key? I really can't tell." Zhao Xiaojin pursed his lips. This bastard was too much of a blow to her. Not only had he comprehended the fourth profundity of the law of thunder, the third profundity of the law of slaughter, and the second profundity of the law of war, but he had also grasped the law of force, the law of wind, and the law of light. Not to mention her, even the number one monster of the Rogue Cultivator Alliance, Big Brother Yi Tian, paled in comparison to this bastard. Zhao Xiaojin suddenly asked, "How many profundities have you comprehended for the other power of law?" Cough cough. "About that. I've only just grasped the basics of the law of wind, the law of light, and the law of force." Qin Feiyang smiled. Zhao Xiaojin sized up Qin Feiyang and frowned. "Why do I feel like you're lying to me?" "Would I lie to you?" Qin Feiyang shook his head and smiled. "Haven't you lied to me enough? Anyway, I won't believe anything you say now. There's also Madman Mo. Does he also control 6 types of laws like you?" Zhao Xiaojin asked secretly. "Him? More or less." Qin Feiyang smiled vaguely. "Fuck. What kind of monsters are you?" Zhao Xiaojin could not help but curse. With that, she turned around and entered the cave abode. She had to work hard. Otherwise, when she walked with this guy in the future, others would point at her behind her back and say that she was selling her beauty to please him. Following these monsters was really stressful. Qin Feiyang shook his head and smiled. He also returned to the cave abode and sat in the hall. He brewed a pot of tea and drank it while waiting. Soon, a white figure walked into the cave abode. Qin Feiyang turned his head to take a look, and his expression immediately froze. "Yi Tian? Wasn't this person in seclusion? Looking at your expression, I know that you must be wondering why a person in seclusion would suddenly come out to look for you." Yi Tian walked to the opposite side of Qin Feiyang and sat down on the chair. He looked at Qin Feiyang with displeasure. Cough cough. Qin Feiyang coughed dryly and laughed. "Brother Yi, I don't think I have offended you." "You didn't offend me, but you hid it from me. I feel a little uncomfortable. I treat you like a brother, but you actually hid it from me. If it wasn't for my grandfather sending me messages and waking me up to tell me these things, I don't know how long you would have kept me in the dark." Yi Tian snorted. "Drink some tea and calm down." Qin Feiyang poured a cup of tea and handed it to Yi Tian. Yi Tian took the teacup and smelled the heavenly immortal dew. He immediately smiled and said, "For the sake of this tea, I'll forgive you." "Huh." Qin Feiyang could not help but laugh. For a person who loved tea, there was nothing that a cup of good tea could not solve. Yi Tian took a sip and sighed, "From now on, I'll have to give you the title of the number one monster in the Rogue Cultivator Alliance." "Don't. I'm not interested in this at all. I revealed my strength purely because I don't want anyone to cause trouble for me and Zhao Xiaojin anymore." Qin Feiyang shook his head. "That's what you think, but others don't. Now, many people in the Hall of the Exalted are talking behind your back. You're competing with me for the number one title. Of course, I don't care. The number one title is just a chew. I'm just afraid that these discussions will affect our relationship." Yi Tian said. "It doesn't exist. You're all straightforward people. It's fine as long as there's no barrier between us. As for the discussions behind our backs, let them be. Anyway, their mouths are on their bodies. We can't do anything about it, right?" Qin Feiyang smiled faintly. I'm impressed. Yi Tian gave him a thumbs up. Chapter 3171. You also make me admire you. Qin Feiyang smiled slightly. Me? Yi Tian was slightly stunned, shook his head and said, haven't you heard about the matter between me and Qin Feiyang? Yes. Qin Feiyang nodded. Back then, in order to force him to make a move, I personally killed a newborn baby. A person like me is not worthy of your admiration at all. Yi Tian shook his head. But I can see that you don't feel good about this matter. I think you must have your own difficulties. Qin Feiyang said. Difficulties? Yi Tian murmured, shook his head and said, what I did is what I did. Even if I have difficulties, I can't deny my sins. Qin Feiyang was silent. From Yi Tian's words, it was not difficult to judge that he was indeed forced to kill the baby in Wind Sea City. As for the person who forced him behind the scenes, there was no doubt that it must be the deputy leader. The more he thought about it, the stranger he felt. Just because he killed Wang Hui, the deputy leader was so unscrupulous? He even didn't hesitate to let his own grandson bear the infamy? This was obviously unreasonable. There must be other conspiracies in this. There's one more thing. Yi Tian put down the teacup and looked at Qin Feiyang. What's the matter? Qin Feiyang was suspicious. This time, it's actually my grandfather's idea. He asked me to talk to you from the side to see if you are an ambitious person. Yi Tian said. Ambitious? Qin Feiyang was taken aback and asked suspiciously, what do you mean? I don't like to beat around the bush, and I don't like to deliberately trick my friends, so I'll tell you the truth. In fact, my grandfather has always wanted me to work hard to become the next leader. But I'm not interested in this at all. I just want to cultivate quietly and live a worry-free life. But I can't go against my grandfather's wishes, so I can only do as he wants. And now, my grandfather saw your extraordinary talent, so he can't help but worry that in the future, will you become my opponent? Yi Tian shook his head. Ugh. Qin Feiyang looked at Yi Tian in astonishment. Yi Tian forced a smile and said, am I stupid to actually tell you the truth? No, no, no. You treat me as a true friend. That's why you tell me everything you know. To be honest, I'm really surprised. Compared to your younger brother, it's as if you don't have the same parents. You have completely different personalities. Qin Feiyang shook his head. You know my little brother too? Yi Tian was stunned. Of course. Who in the entire eastern continent doesn't know what he did in the Wind Sea City? Qin Feiyang smiled faintly. My little brother was spoiled by my grandfather since he was young. And to be honest, compared to my younger brother, my grandfather likes my younger brother more. Yi Tian shook his head. Why? Is it because of his arrogant and domineering personality? Qin Feiyang frowned. My brother is such a person. He will do anything to achieve his goals. Let's not talk about him. Let's talk about the previous problem. You have to give me a statement. And I need you to be sincere. Yi Tian looked at Qin Feiyang and observed every change in Qin Feiyang's expression. However, Qin Feiyang's face did not show much emotion. He smiled faintly and said, as I said before, whether it's the title of the number one monster or anything else, I'm not interested. I believe you. I envy you too. Yi Tian smiled. What do you envy me for? Qin Feiyang was suspicious. I envy you for not having any restrictions and being able to do whatever you want. But I can't. Don't be fooled by my appearance. I'm actually very depressed. Sometimes, I even have an impulse to leave the itinerant cultivator alliance and wander outside alone to be a wild crane. But I can't let go of my grandfather. It's said that it's hard to be human. This sentence is really reasonable. Yi Tian sighed deeply, revealing endless bitterness. Then, you didn't try to fight for it? Qin Feiyang asked. Yes. But every time I speak, I can't bear to look at my grandfather's old face. To be honest, my parents died early. My brother and I were raised by my grandfather painstakingly. How do you expect me to go against his wishes? After all, there's an old saying that filial piety is the most important virtue. If you can't even fulfill the most basic filial piety, what right do you have to talk about other virtues? Yi Tian shook his head. That makes sense. Qin Feiyang nodded. After this conversation, his favorable impression of Yi Tian had once again risen to another level. That's right. Filial piety is the lowest standard of being a human. If you can't even fulfill filial piety, you don't deserve to be a human at all. Of course. There were many types of filial piety. If the elders were right, one must obey them unconditionally. However, if the elders were wrong, one must stand up bravely to correct them. One could not blindly be filial. Alright, we've talked enough. I should go and send a message to my grandfather to give him an answer so that he can rest assured. Yi Tian smiled faintly. Then I won't see you off. Qin Feiyang smiled. Yi Tian smiled, got up, and left quickly. It's best that the deputy leader didn't collude with the blood hall. Qin Feiyang sighed. If the deputy leader colluded with the blood hall, the good image of the deputy leader would be destroyed in Yi Tian's heart. In Yi Tian's eyes, this grandfather of his was not only a good grandfather, he was also a good leader. In addition, with Yi Tian's character, if he were to find out that the Vice Alliance Master had colluded with the blood hall, it would definitely be a huge blow to him. About a moment later. What a strong tea fragrance. This old man can already smell it outside. Accompanied by a hoarse laughter, the white-robed old man walked into the cave. Qin Feiyang was slightly stunned. He was indeed waiting for someone, but he didn't expect that the first one would be this old man. Look at your expression. You don't welcome me, do you? The white-robed old man asked with a smile. No, no. Qin Feiyang hurriedly waved his hand and said, it's because the hall master came in person. This disciple is a little flattered and couldn't react for a moment. As a hall of famers, it's my duty to visit a new disciple. There's nothing to be surprised about. The white-robed old man shook his head and smiled, then asked, can I sit? Of course, please sit. Qin Feiyang nodded repeatedly and hurriedly greeted him. Someone came? The white-robed old man sat opposite, looking at the teacup that Yi Tian had drunk from. He was slightly stunned. Brother Yi drank tea with this disciple before. Qin Feiyang said with a smile. He put away the teacup, took out a clean teacup, poured a cup, and handed it to the white-robed old man. The white-robed old man took the teacup and sniffed it. His eyes suddenly lit up. He tasted it carefully and nodded, this tea is good. This old man has tasted countless teas, but this is the first time I've tasted this tea. It's good that the hall master likes it. Qin Feiyang smiled. He twisted the teapot and filled the white-robed old man's teacup to 80%. Not bad, not bad. This old man finally understands why you and Yi Tian get along so well. It turns out that both of you love tea. The white-robed old man smiled. Qin Feiyang said with a smile, it's my honor that Brother Yi treats me as a friend. You can't say that. This old man has watched Yi Tian grow up. He's indeed a good person. But his grandfather is a different story. The white-robed old man smiled meaningfully. What do you mean? Qin Feiyang asked calmly. His grandfather? He's a cunning and black-bellied old fox. You have to be careful when interacting with him. Don't be fooled by him and have to help him count the money. The white-robed old man said. Qin Feiyang looked at the white-robed old man in shock. What's going on? This old man doesn't look like someone who likes to sow discord between others. Is he hinting at something? Old man Qi, don't go too far. All of a sudden, an angry roar was heard. Immediately after, a green-robed old man entered the cave and stared at the white-robed old man angrily. Greetings, Deputy Alliance Leader. Qin Feiyang quickly got up and bowed. No need to be so polite. The Deputy Alliance Leader smiled and looked at the white-robed old man. He said angrily, "What do you mean? We agreed on a fair competition, but you're ruining my reputation behind my back. I've never seen such a wicked old bastard like you. The point is, what I said is the truth. Go and ask the elders. Who doesn't know that you're a cunning old fox?" The white-robed old man drank his tea and said indifferently. Fair competition? What's going on? Qin Feiyang looked at the two of them suspiciously. Fine, I'm cunning, but at least I didn't say anything bad about you behind your back. Anyway, it's better to be shameless. The Deputy Alliance Leader smiled coldly and sat on the chair on the left side of the tea table. Qin Feiyang quickly took out a clean teacup and poured tea. The Vice Leader took a sip of the tea, and a trace of surprise appeared on his face. Brother Yi likes this tea. I wonder if you'll like it, Deputy Alliance Leader? Qin Feiyang asked cautiously. He's too arrogant. How can he like it? The white-robed old man said suddenly. The Deputy Alliance Leader immediately glared and said angrily, Do you have to ruin my image? Do you still have an image? The white-robed old man was curious. The Deputy Alliance Leader was so angry that his face turned pale. He took a deep breath and looked at Qin Feiyang with a smile. Don't listen to his nonsense. To be honest, this tea is the best tea I've ever drunk in my life. As long as you like it. Qin Feiyang pretended to be relieved. Looking at the Deputy Alliance Leader's attitude, Qin Feiyang knew that Yi Tian must have answered him. So now the Deputy Alliance Leader was not wary of him at all. Back to the topic. The Deputy Alliance Leader put down the teacup and looked at Qin Feiyang. I won't be as wicked as some people. I'll be frank. In fact, both of us want to accept you as a disciple. Accept me as a disciple? Qin Feiyang was taken aback. This was a bit beyond his expectations. It was inevitable that he would be valued by the Deputy Alliance Leader and the others when he showed the power of laws. But he never expected that they would rush to accept him as a disciple now. Chapter 3172. Accepting a disciple, Qin Feiyang began to ponder. If he became the Deputy Alliance Leader's disciple, wouldn't it be easier for him to gain his trust? This was a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity for him. The Hall of Famers added, We won't force you and respect your choice. Of course, before you make a decision, you must see the other party's character clearly. Old man Qi, are you done yet? Are you trying to ruin my reputation? The Deputy Alliance Leader immediately glared at him. I didn't mention any names. You're the one who bumped into me. The Hall of Famers said calmly. Is there anyone else here other than me? Are you talking to a ghost? The Deputy Alliance Leader said angrily. The Hall of Famers just chuckled and looked at Qin Feiyang. Mo Yuan, you have to see clearly. Some people appear to be vile, but they might not be vile. Some people appear to be gentlemen, but they might not be gentlemen. The Deputy Alliance Leader also looked at Qin Feiyang and said. He had to win this kid over and help Yi Tian in the future. He would definitely achieve great things. If he fell into the hands of the Hall of Famers, even if he had no ambition, he might become ambitious in the future. He had comprehended 6 types of laws and had even comprehended the 4th profundity of the Law of Thunder. It would be a pity if such a talent was killed, so he had to be used by him. This, Qin Feiyang hesitated for a while and said with an embarrassed smile, "Can I choose both?" "Both of them?" The Deputy Alliance leader and the Hall of Famers were stunned. This kid is really greedy. After all, given their identities and statuses, which one of them wasn't a powerful master? It was already a great fortune to be able to become the disciple of one of them. However, this kid actually wanted to become their disciple at the same time? If he agreed, it would be more than a meteoric rise. In the future, in the Rogue Cultivator Alliance. No, in the entire Eastern continent, as long as he didn't encounter the big shots of the Demon Hall, he would be able to do whatever he wanted. To be honest, I wouldn't dare to offend the two of you. Therefore, I can only choose a compromise. I can either acknowledge all of you as my masters at the same time or reject all of you. Qin Feiyang said helplessly. The Hall of Famers was stunned for a moment before he laughed hoarsely. I didn't expect you to be so smooth. After all, the two of you are big shots in the Rogue Cultivator Alliance. You have the power to decide my life and death. Of course, I have to treat you seriously. Qin Feiyang smiled awkwardly. Don't say such useless things. How about this, if you acknowledge me as your master, not only will I give you a legendary grade heaven-defying divine artifact, I will also give you a legendary grade heaven-defying divine art. The Vice Alliance Master directly offered the tempting conditions. What? Legendary grade heaven-defying divine artifact, heaven-defying divine art. Qin Feiyang suddenly felt a rush of excitement. The Hall of Famers glanced at the Vice Alliance Master, then looked at Qin Feiyang and said calmly, "I'll make the same offer." Ugh! Qin Feiyang was stunned. You old thing, do you really want to go against me? The Vice Alliance Master said angrily. Fair competition. The Hall of Famers smiled faintly. The Vice Alliance Master's face darkened. I say, the two of you, aren't you making things difficult for me? Qin Feiyang smiled bitterly. To be honest, from the bottom of his heart, he preferred the Hall of Famers. Although he didn't have much contact with this person, he could feel that this person was reasonable and didn't have a bad heart. However, his goal in entering the Alliance capital this time was to become the Vice Alliance Master. The Hall of Famers smiled faintly and said, "Don't worry, we won't make things difficult for you. No matter what you choose, we won't hold a grudge. Old Man Yi, am I right?" Of course. The Vice Alliance Master nodded. However, Qin Feiyang could tell that the Vice Alliance Master didn't mean what he said. With such a comparison, it was clear who was better between the two. Qin Feiyang was hesitant. The Vice Alliance Master said, "I'll add to the bargaining chip and give you a legendary level support technique. You have to know that even my grandson Yi Tian doesn't have a legendary level support technique and a legendary level support technique." Qin Feiyang's gaze trembled. He knew this because he had fought with Yi Tian before. Whether it was a legendary level support technique or a legendary level support technique, they were both at the pinnacle level. Old thing, you really know how to put in a lot of effort. A trace of anger appeared in the Hall of Famers' eyes. He looked at Qin Feiyang and said, "I'll also give you a legendary level support technique." You, the Vice Alliance Master immediately gnashed his teeth. I say, the two elders, I don't want both the legendary level support technique and the legendary level support technique. Can I not be your disciple? Qin Feiyang smiled bitterly. No. The two spoke at the same time. Then I'll be your disciple. I still don't want the legendary level support technique and the legendary level support technique. Qin Feiyang said. That won't do either. The two shook their heads at the same time. Both had a non-negotiable attitude. Then what should I do? Qin Feiyang was in a dilemma. Make your choice boldly. The two said. Qin Feiyang frowned and asked cautiously, "Are you sure that no matter what I choose, you won't hold a grudge against me?" "Yes." The two nodded. "All right." Qin Feiyang took a deep breath and looked at the Hall of Famers. When he saw this scene, the Vice Alliance Master frowned without leaving a trace. "Hall Master, thank you for your appreciation. I believe you also know the relationship between me and Brother Yi. Brother Yi has taken care of me a lot, so I'm very sorry." Qin Feiyang said with an apologetic face. When the Hall of Famers heard this, he immediately got up with a look of disappointment. He did not expect to lose to Yi Tian in the end. In his opinion, if there was no Yi Tian, Qin Feiyang would definitely choose him. At the same time, the Vice Alliance Master was also beaming with joy. He thought that Qin Feiyang looked at the Hall of Famers to choose him, but he did not expect it to be an apology. Not bad. He had a good eye. He knew who the real number 2 person in the Itinerant Cultivator Alliance was. The Vice Alliance Master looked at the Hall of Famers and said with a smile, "Old man Qi, we agreed not to hold a grudge against him. Do you think I'm you?" The Hall of Famers snorted coldly. "That's for the best." The Vice Alliance Master laughed and looked at Qin Feiyang, saying, "Then, acknowledge me as your master." "I'm willing to pay my respects to Master." Qin Feiyang bowed and said, "That's it?" The Vice Alliance Master was stunned. Shouldn't one kneel and kowtow when acknowledging a master? You should be satisfied with such a good disciple. What else do you want? The Hall of Famers snorted coldly. "That's true." The Vice Alliance Master chuckled and looked at Qin Feiyang, saying with a smile, "I mean what I say." After saying that, he waved his hand, and a rectangular iron box and 2 rectangular jade boxes immediately appeared. Qin Feiyang's eyes lit up. These must be the legendary heaven-defying divine artifact and the 2 divine arts. The Hall of Famers said disdainfully, "Old man Yi, you're the Vice Alliance Master after all. Shouldn't the ceremony be more grand? Even if the whole world doesn't know about it, at least let the people of the Itinerant Cultivator Alliance know about it." The Vice Alliance Master did not answer. He looked at Qin Feiyang and asked, "Do you think it's necessary?" "I don't think it's necessary. It's too much of a waste of time." Qin Feiyang shook his head. "See, this is my disciple. He's naturally low-key." The Vice Alliance Master laughed. The Hall of Famers could not help but pout. "All right, cultivate well. If there's anything you don't understand, feel free to ask me. Also, take out your Divine Voice Stone," the Vice Alliance Master said. Qin Feiyang took out the Divine Voice Stone. After the two established the contract bridge, the Vice Alliance Master looked at the Hall of Famers and said, "Old man, let's go." "Did I stop you?" "How shameless." The Hall of Famers said angrily. "Huh, what's done is done. Don't think about poaching my disciple." The Vice Alliance Master smiled proudly, then turned and strode away. "Mo Yuansheng, I really don't know what you're thinking." The Hall of Famers looked at Qin Feiyang, shook his head, and sighed, then turned and strode away. "You'll know what I'm thinking in the future." Qin Feiyang muttered secretly. Then, he sealed the door of the cave and looked at the 3 boxes floating in the void. His eyes were full of surprise. He never expected that not only did he gain the trust of the Vice Alliance Master, but he also obtained so many treasures. This was all thanks to the Hall of Famers. If it weren't for this person, would the Vice Alliance Master have given him these treasures? Don't even think about it. Qin Feiyang couldn't wait to open the rectangular iron box. There was a black battle suit lying inside. Qin Feiyang was stunned. He thought it was a weapon, but he didn't expect it to be a battle armor. However, this battle armor was not bad. Because now, he didn't lack weapons, but he didn't have a single battle armor. It just made up for his shortcomings. When he came back to his senses, he cut his finger and dripped blood to bind it. A message suddenly poured into his mind. The Spectre armor was a legendary-level heaven-defying artifact. Wearing this armor, one would be like a ghost and no one would be able to detect one's aura. There's such an ability? Qin Feiyang was stunned. This meant that as long as he wore the Spectre armor, he could turn into a ghost and no one would be able to sense his aura. In other words, this Spectre armor could completely hide one's aura. Amazing. But the only pity was that this Spectre armor couldn't block the prying of divine thoughts. But it was pretty good to be able to hide one's aura. After all, the main function of the battle armor was defense. At that moment, with a thought, the Spectre armor appeared on his body and his aura disappeared. If there was a person standing in front of him at this moment, if this person didn't release his divine thoughts or turned his head, he would definitely not find someone standing behind him. With this battle armor, it was like adding wings to a tiger. Immediately, with another thought, the Spectre armor disappeared from his body. Immediately after. Then, he opened the 2 square jade boxes. 2 jade slips lay quietly inside. Qin Feiyang took out the 2 jade slips and integrated his divine thoughts into them. 2 pieces of information immediately poured into his mind at the same time. Space-time step, a legendary-level auxiliary heaven-defying technique. Activating space-time step, it was like traversing through time and space, coming and going without a trace. 7 killing sword art, a legendary-level heaven-defying technique. 1 sword, 1 kill, invincible. 7 swords, can destroy heaven and earth. Space-time step, 7 killing sword art. Qin Feiyang's face was full of excitement. Although he had mastered many divine arts, such as the Guiyuan sword art, the Ruins of End art, and the Dragon God art, these divine arts had not evolved into heaven-defying divine arts, so they were basically useless now. And the 6-word divine arts were only low-level heaven-defying divine arts. Except for the killing domain, they didn't have much significance. So now, the divine arts were his most fatal shortcoming. And the appearance of this space-time step and 7 killing sword art undoubtedly helped him make up for this shortcoming. You're tuning into the Xiaofan's Wuxia Tales YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.